Mike and Ron. Here to help. Here to help.
Just Cleveland here. It's Easter Sunday. We're having the celebratory Easter Sunday podcast.
Absolutely. Here to help.
And his name be praised.
Mike and Ron here to help.
Here to help.
But I guess you would technically fall in the category of agnostic.
So you're an
Which means
agnostic.
you do not know and you do not care.
I mean,
Wow.
I believe that there is.
Look at Travis
spiritual,
labeling the white man.
Yeah, thank you. lecturing the man with
that's
the
pretty amazing.
with the the nice hair.
Yeah.
But which is what I feel that there are different levels of white man.
Very nice man.
The
Very
highest
hair care.
is tall with great hair.
Right.
which-
And that would be you.
that'd
And
be me.
That's you.
That'd be
yeah,
me.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
If
I
someone
like that.
says what kind of white people rule the world, tall with nice hair.
Right.
That's
Sure,
pretty
we
much.
don't want these filthy balds and shorts in here.
If there's a
Right.
group of people I am prejudiced against, it's the short and the bald. Those are the people I'm not a big fan of.
Wow.
Yeah, get
How
him,
tall?
get him out of here.
How tall is Jeff Bezos? I don't know. We're gonna-
Oh yeah, I hate that guy.
Oh, that's a great question.
Right. You know. but,
Okay, all right.
so-
5'10".
Right. I say 5'9". How tall is he?
You boys ready?
All right.
5'7".
Wow.
Short king, baby.
and that's
Napoleon.
what he's listed at.
The Napoleon complex.
That is what.
right there.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Let's go. Let's keep going.
But real quickly, folks,
okay.
as you join us here, Mike and Ron here to help.
We're here to help.
It's Easter Sunday,
He has risen.
and we were, you know, I had mentioned that I'm not a Christian, so I don't celebrate Easter. And then the magnificent, tall with great hair, Mr. Sasson,
There he is.
had basically said he's agnostic and he also doesn't care. Which then Travis, the other white man in here, decided to label him as agnostic, if that even exists. Which I'm going to say it exists because Mike is sitting right here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even care about the label. That's how much I don't care.
Right,
it's
right, right.
It's one of those things to where whatever gets you through, like everyone always kind of shits on
Yeah, I know what
people
you
in LA who are like, ooh, you know, the ladies with the crystals and the people that do the yoga and the meditation. If that gets them through the day and makes
Congratulations.
it to where they're good to people and they have a fulfilling life, all power. If you want to spend every living moment in a Christian church and pray to Jesus and say that that is what makes you a wonderful person, by all means, I don't care.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But my thing
Good for
is,
you, yeah.
when it gets to be annoying, is when you say, "Okay, this is what I believe, and now I'm going to change laws, and I'm going to make everyone else
Yeah.
bend to my will,
Believe what I believe.
believe what I
Die.
believe, or
Right.
at least live in a world because I believe that my way is right, as
Right.
opposed to just saying." Because what I was always taught, because I think you were also Catholic,
I
correct?
was raised Southern Baptist.
Southern Baptist, but
Right.
you went to a Catholic school, correct?
No, I didn't go to
Oh,
Catholic
I thought
school.
you went to, that was a private
No,
Catholic
I've just
school.
slept with men from Catholic schools.
Okay, so you know
Yeah.
enough.
I know enough. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Well,
yes.
and what I was always told is that you're supposed to just live your life, and your example is supposed to be the advertisement of your lifestyle. Like you're supposed to be
Right.
like, "Hey, I'm so happy and so content. Wouldn't you like to be as happy as content as me?"
Yeah.
The reason why I do it is because I go to this church and I live this life.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, "Oh, we're going to then destroy people's rights and subjugate certain people and tell other people that they're not because this book says this." That's what kind of like irks me when someone is like, "Oh, I'm ultra religious." I don't really care if you are. That's wonderful. Live your life. My thing is when you sit there and say like, "Oh, and by the way, I'm going to make it that no woman can get abortions.
Right.
I'm going to make it that no child can get, the care they need because they're doing something that I don't believe
Right.
is correct."
The
And
word-
that's
like,
what it really
What
pisses
on
me
earth
off.
is Christian about denying people money or food?
Well, it's not.
It blows
It's-
my
it's
fucking mind.
So for me to accept my own sexual orientation way back in the day, in my early 20s,
Which they're totally cool with, by the way.
absolutely right. I had to do a lot of studying for religion because I was taught that I was going to burn in hell.
Yeah.
And so once you start studying religions, and that means all religions, we'll say the major ones, Judaism, Muslim, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Christianity. So we'll just put Catholicism, Southern Baptist, and all that other stuff under the Christianity.
Yeah, it's all kind of the
Same thing, right? Then you realize, that all of this was, and you look at the origins, you just realize that it was all made up. Today's Easter, and so people are believing that Jesus, who was a man, who I totally believe existed, died on a cross for his crucifixion. I totally believe that.
Yep.
I have no problem accepting that. But then 3 days later, he rose from the dead.
Zombie.
And then rolled a something-ton stone from in front of his crypt and floated into heaven.
If anything, he Star Wars it. He was struck down and became more powerful, like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right. And so, once you start believing this type of stuff,
You got to admit, it's a great story.
it's if you're watching a movie and you want to believe, I mean, so is Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. It's but that's how I view it. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
it's a cool story.
You
I'm a
know,
big fan of Marvel. You know?
Yeah, I'm a
It's
major
great.
Marvel
I love
fan.
it.
Yeah, a major Marvel fan.
I mean, if you want to talk about the origin story of Superman, it's pretty
Right.
much the same. He came down from heavens. He
to
was
save
sent
Earth,
by
yeah.
saying Earth
Yeah,
and everything
absolutely,
like that. Great.
absolutely.
I mean, are we talking about Jesus or Superman? Which, by
Right.
the way, either or. If I worship Superman,
Yeah.
and that's what I do, and I'm good to people because Superman told me that I should be good to people, why
Right.
would you care that I worship Superman?
Exactly, and
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
what I. And so when I have debates with people of faith, when I say with the devout people of faith, I just ask them, why do you need your faith to be a good person?
Because
You
then
know,
you're not a good person.
So
Yeah,
if
exactly.
if you didn't have your faith, you would be a mass murderer. If you didn't
Yeah,
have your
that kills
faith,
me, man.
you would kill your child, or as they say to do in the Bible. I mean, you just have to. I just need to understand, what makes your faith make you be a good person.
My favorite line is, if you're an atheist or you're not a believer, what's keeping you from raping and murdering constantly?
Right, the same thing that's keeping you from raping and raping and pillaging
I don't
constantly.
know, the fact that I don't want to do it, or the law, I think.
or
Well,
probably.
it's just simply that it makes you a
Integrity.
bad person.
yeah.
Integrity. Yeah, it's called integrity,
Yes.
and personal responsibility and being a upstanding citizen in your society. And you don't need religion for that. You don't need laws not to be a murderer. You don't need laws not to be anything. You just have to be a good person. And so,
Because even if it wasn't illegal to murder, if someone just kept murdering, the society would deal with them in some way. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Well, the funny thing, and this is if we want to get even deeper, and
I think we do, because we want to help.
Okay,
Mike,
we want to
Mike
help.
and Ron, we want to help
We're
here.
helping.
That's good help.
If you really look at it and you go, okay, is murder illegal? And someone goes, yes. And I go, well, what if someone came into this studio with a knife and said, I'm going to kill all of you. And so in response, we defended ourselves. And in that defense, we killed him.
Yeah.
Now
It's self-defense.
Now it's self-defense. We're okay. But wait,
we
he's
still
murdered.
murdered.
We still
Yeah.
murdered him. Oh, what if we went to war and a general said that village needs to go, and we did it?
Like in Vietnam.
They'd give it. Yeah, they'd give us medals.
Yeah,
They'd
like
say,
Vietnam,
"What a
yeah.
great job you guys did." But I thought it's illegal to murder and it's wrong to
Cambodia,
murder.
Africa.
So yes, we've done. Yeah, it's been done often.
Yeah.
So the concept,
Frequently.
like I always get into debates with people when they go,
Afghanistan.
Mike, why don't you ever answer yes or no? And I'm like, because very rarely are there yes and no answers.
Yeah,
There's
black and white.
there's nothing black and white, and and by the way, which is my first subject for the day. I guarantee you that if you ask every one of those individuals in the Tennessee legislature if they were Christian, if they were God-fearing, evangelical, I don't care what label you put yourself, guarantee, are you or are you not? But does that make you a good person? Clearly not. And so for me, when I started studying religion, I believe that whatever created everything, I'm down with it. Whatever created everything did not make me to hate myself, did not make me to hate another person, did not make me want to have to make someone else lesser than me for me to feel empowered, did not make me have to be some type of douchebag that can't see past my individual beliefs as I know them now, to say, hey, listen, I am still ignorant in so many ways. The definition of ignorance is not knowing, and so therefore I'm always open to learn and grow. That's how I feel. And so, do I believe there's a heaven or hell? Absolutely not. I mean, it's just like in my joke, understanding the white man for world peace, right? Where Last Action Happened. But anyway, I have a joke where I'm talking about where I compare Transformers to the Bible, and at the end of the joke, I just say one man's heaven is another man's hell. Who designed the heaven that you're going to? Does Mike Sasson, would you want to go to a heaven where it's like quiet and fat little cherub babies? And you know what I mean?
Well, there's all those babies naked, man.
You know what I mean?
Down.
Yeah, what would your heaven be? Mike Sasson, what would your heaven be? Let me ask you that. Like if your heaven, you have to be there for eternity. And Travis, we're going to get to you too. If you had to be there for eternity, what would your heaven look like?
My heaven would be the ability at any moment to do exactly what I wanted to do. Like if I sat there and I want to spend 8 hours with my brothers eating pizza and watching football.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, football would be on television, pizza would be in front of me, and I'd be eating. And then the next day it would be like, oh, I want to do comedy in a stadium filled with adoring fans, and it just happens.
Right.
So to me, that is an ever-evolving heaven. Like the one thing about like the concept of heaven that always seemed annoying is the fact that it just seems to be one continuous thing.
Right.
Where it's just like, oh, it's a tranquil peace in on a lake with your family. I'm like, so it's a giant family reunion for eternity at a lake?
It's complete trash.
That sucks.
Right.
That sounds awful.
That sounds
Yeah,
awful.
yeah.
For
So
the rest of my life, I've got to hear shit from my dad and my grandpa about WW2.
Sure,
I mean, like,
yeah.
what the fuck's going on
So,
here?
so Travis, what would your idea of heaven be?
I think it would be, first off, I'm thin in heaven.
Okay.
All right, I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay,
Okay.
but what would here? And again, this is something that'd be interesting to do.
Okay, fair enough.
But here's what I would say, and this is, and I'm not trying to be like Mr. Body Positive or whatever like that.
No, please. Yeah.
If ultimately, like the reason why you want to be thinner, like one of the reasons why I lost the weight was because A, health, but now you're already dead, so what point is that?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And then
Yeah.
B,
Doesn't matter.
it's because of the fact that I want to look good on camera and I want the opposite sex to love me and all this other kind of shit.
Society.
So if all of that's gone,
Societal programming.
Oh, that's a good
right.
point.
then why
Well,
would
then,
you?
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
Right.
You're getting everything you want anyway, and
right.
so eat all the pizza and be
Going back
fat and whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's you said it. That would be heaven too.
Yeah.
Right. Eat as much pizza as I want. I never feel like shit. I think heaven also is a feeling. Like I always feel how I felt anytime I ever took Vicodin. You know what I mean? Like just that joy is flowing through you at all times.
So you mentioned you said the thing. So I think what everybody would want heaven to be in their own way is joyful,
Feeling good.
bliss,
Mm-hmm.
love,
Yeah.
contentment.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it.
What's your heaven?
Well, I think you guys know what my heaven would be. It would be
Why does Ron need heaven when he's living on Earth right now?
I was about to get you. You kind of beat me to my roundabout on this whole thing. So I'm going to have to give Travis a high five on that one. My heaven would be as I just explained it, and with what you said, Sasson. Whatever I want. I can have that. I want to live in joy, bliss, without oppression, without the fear of disease and death. I want without
No one having that fear.
and no one having that fear.
Yeah.
That's what I think would be
It
heaven.
would be a better place if no one had those fears.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I want to heaven, and so then I can make those choices. And I can live that life, be that entity at that point, right? And I don't have to worry about anything. That is so not having to worry about anything, to do what I want, and for everyone around me to have everything that I have also in equal measure. Right. And so I'll take care of the rest. I'll be banging all the hot little angel boys. You know what I'm saying? 25 and over, of course. Well, maybe 23, but just having a grand old time, and just if I want to go out for a night and hang out with Offset and have just some Ric Flair drip evening, I can do that, and tomorrow morning I have no headache or no hangover,
that'd be great.
You know what I mean? But it's not what it is in the Bible. I can tell you that. It's not what it's in the Quran.
Well, because I think the thing about, we have to remember when they wrote that, think about the perspective of how hard life was for the people that wrote that book.
Absolutely.
And the people that were
survival.
reading at that book.
Right.
They were really just saying, oh, and then in the future, you'll die and you'll have, you won't have to literally work every moment of every day to have enough things to where you and your family won't die.
Right.
You that worry is gone.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're already at that place.
And you have to
In a
remember,
lot of ways, yeah.
and you have to remember too. Back when the Bible was written and Jesus walked the earth, let's face it. If you had a Bic lighter,
You were king.
You would be a demon. You would be some type of magician.
Burned at the stake.
You would be burned at the stake. If you had a semi-automatic, my goodness, you would be God.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's
you'd be
that's the old saying. The intelligent sound crazy to the stupid. They sound dangerous.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that we're dealing with. It's always what people have dealt with is like whenever you come with a new idea that screws with the status quo, now the people that live in that world, even the people that aren't necessarily benefiting from that status quo,
right,
now have a worry to where it's just like, hey, wait a minute, you're upsetting the apple cart. You're making me have to reevaluate my world and my life. And that's why typically what happens is people kind of shut everything down, which is, again, my theory about why certain people are so adamant against, gay, trans, anything like that, is because if you're told through religion, through your job, through school, through everything, that wherever you are in this world is where you are, and it's that way, and you're supposed to be. And if you're struggling, yes, you're struggling, and this person over here has a lot because they somehow are more blessed and they did something, they worked harder, whatever. But you're here, and don't worry about it because when you're dead, everything will be over and everything. So don't really worry. Don't upset the apple cart. Don't ask why this guy has this and you don't have this.
Right.
And so when gay and trans people ask the question of, okay, there's two genders. Well, what if there wasn't?
Right.
Okay, well, it's supposed to be a man and a woman. What if there wasn't? Now all of a sudden you sit there and go, hey, wait a minute. If this world is just something that we created, then everything can be recreated.
Right.
And now all of a sudden somebody who's benefiting from how everything is goes, oh, well, stop those people that are trying to tell these people that everything can be reevaluated because we created it.
Absolutely.
So that's why you have all of these anti-artist, anti-intellectual, anti-everything, because it's just like the thought that everything that you see was created by someone no more intelligent than you makes it to where we can change everything.
Right. I got into a debate with somebody. I forget where I was. Conservative, obviously. But they were like, transgender is, that's just wrong. And I was like, transgenderism shows up all across nature. And this poor, uninformed human being was like, no, it doesn't. I was like, well, just turn on Blue Planet and you'll see a fish go into a rock. And because of the amount of mates that it had available to itself, it changed its gender so it could recreate. So that, my friend, is nature, transgender, natural. It's a natural thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and by the way, and one of my clips that I sent over to you there, young Travis, shows where you have this culture in Mexico that's centuries old. And they are known as the third gender.
Yeah, India has 5.
Yeah, and India has
recognized 5 for thousands of years.
Absolutely.
India or
India?
India has 5 genders and they've had it for thousands
Thousands
of years.
Yeah. I see that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're very specific. They're very intrinsic to their culture.
Right.
But yeah.
And so these are they're considered to be a third gender. Okay. Native Americans viewed transgender people as, again, their deities and their medicine people and such. And you have to remember, there's also hermaphrodites out there. I would say that people that are born with both male and female genitalia.
People also don't factor in chromosomal differences too. There's people born with double XY, so technically they're female and male at the same time.
But if you're saying that everything that I've ever known isn't what I know it, then what else is not? Should I be working 10 hours a day for shitty wages? Should I be accepting that there is a 1% of the population that has all of this wealth and I'm struggling to make things right?
Well,
should I be, again, that's why we're getting such pushback on this, because if ultimately you accept that, hey, we created all of this and we could change it now. And I know if everybody, I was thinking about this the other
real
day.
quickly, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead.
What people can say is this: to start off with, to answer your questions. I know they were rhetorical, but to the people that are listening, the answer is listen to Mike and Ron here to help.
Here to help.
If you're looking for answers, we have them. Okay, continue.
And that's where someone asked me during this week, and I was talking about the podcast.
Yeah.
And
which is fantastic if you haven't listened to it.
yes, it's a wonderful podcast.
Yeah, right now you're so entertained.
Yeah, you're so
Absolutely,
entertained.
absolutely.
And someone said, okay, give me like a synopsis of it. And I go, well, what we have here are Los Angeles comedians, so it is funny,
Yes.
talking about current events and life, but from a perspective of, at least how I view it, is we're a bridge. You have kind of your extreme left wing that only looks at things one way, and your extreme right wing that looks at one thing one
Only
way.
one way, right?
And now all of a sudden they don't even talk to each other.
Right.
They're not even, they can't fathom what the other thinks.
Right.
And so what I hope to be is this bridge.
Wow.
So right now you're sitting there and you're going, hey, wait a minute. I'm supporting my politicians, making it that, young people can't get these medicines in order to have a gender, change. I'm supporting my politicians. And so what we're kind of saying is, okay, let me talk to you respectfully and really ask why, so that we can kind of show you a different perspective. And that is where we're here to help.
Absolutely. And how can I say this? In my journey to not hating myself, okay, because the more as I look back historically, the more that I hated myself in the past, the more that I hated other things and other people, and so now that I have educated myself to who I am as a person, and now that I've educated myself and I've traveled the world a little bit, and I've enjoyed all these different cultures, and I've enjoyed nature in many different places. I understand that anytime I hate someone, when I look at them and I hate them, well, there's something about them that I hate about myself. And so if I'm going to look at another person and not want them to be, as we just mentioned, in heaven on earth, bliss, joy, happy, able to do whatever they want to do, then I'm the hater. It's me. I'm the problem, and
I want to put somebody in hell because I live in my own personal hell.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Or I need to put somebody else so I can feel better. Well, who are you? You're a monster, and I get that some people don't understand how simple it can be like that, but it's really actually just that simple. If you hate or dislike somebody, then leave them alone.
Look at yourself,
Yeah.
which no one wants to. That's the one thing that's
the case,
that's
right.
whenever you talk to anybody in like when I'm talking to a young comic and they have this joke, I always go, hey, make it about yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
And they'll be like, what do you mean? I go, well, ask yourself the question of, well, why do you feel this way?
Right.
What do you think about yourself in this? And it always gets a look in their eye of like, oh, you're really you're making me do something I'm not comfortable doing.
Right.
Because we can say that we can point the finger at everybody else in the world
Absolutely.
and say, oh, they're the reasons that my life isn't working out.
Right.
They're the reasons why I'm not doing what I want to do, as opposed to going, no. Why don't you ask yourself that question?
Right. Absolutely.
Why don't you look at yourself and say, hey, that kind of good stuff.
At my job right now, me and my boss are talking about a few departments and about, personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, for a company to work functionally, everyone has to take certain levels of responsibility. You have to take personal responsibility for your actions, okay, to keep your job. Then you have to take responsibility as being part of a team in your own department.
Yep.
Okay, for your department to function properly. And then you have to take responsibility for your department to interact with the other departments in a unified way. It's the same thing with a sports team.
Yes.
And so if everyone was to take responsibility for their own actions to to the most basic level, it includes you taking responsibility for your own emotional state, how you think, how you feel. Those are your emotions. If I went over right now and smacked Mike across the face, okay, he would have every reason to beat my ass, okay? Now, if I look at Mike and say, you're a poopy doopy doopy or some dumb shit, and
Which he is.
Which he is.
Which I've never denied.
Right.
I've never
never denied it publicly.
It's
It's
actually
true.
my opening line of my stand-up.
And I have to admit, as a comedian, I just failed with my improv. I could not think of anything that was
I
really
love
good.
poopy doopy doopy.
but you know, but
yeah,
you
that
know,
was kind of tough to go yes and with.
yeah,
But,
it really was. Yeah, you know, I get it. I get
but
it.
I
you
did
know.
it. I go yes. I
get
accept
it.
it. I get
am what I am.
Yeah,
But-
I am what I am.
But you know, if I tell Mike this and he chooses to get enraged
Right.
and fly off the handle, well, whose choice is that? You know, even if for some reason when Mike was a kid, his dad used to come in and beat him with a belt every night and say, "You're a poopy doopy doopy doopy." You know what I'm saying?
Which clearly.
Which clearly he is, because that's why he was doing it. But if he was doing that and you still flew off the handle with me, it's like, motherfucker, I'm not your dad. So it's again your
yeah.
choice.
That's one of the reasons why, and this goes to, again, this might actually now upset people on the left or whatever.
I hope you do.
When
Piss him the fuck off, Mike.
when you sit there and you talk about
rip your
something,
shirt open and fucking get aggro with it too.
all right, there you go.
Slowly unbuttoned.
Slowly,
That was for my own sexual pleasure.
all right.
Strictly-
Halfway
yeah.
through the show, I might go
Yeah,
one
that's
button.
strictly for myself. Sorry about that,
So,
folks.
no worries.
Yeah.
When somebody says that joke's offensive,
Right.
I always have an issue because I say, no. A joke is just something to be evaluated by the artist and the art and the people accepting the art.
Right.
The joke isn't intrinsically offensive. You are offended.
You're offended. It's your
Yeah,
choice.
it's
You're making
the
that choice.
choice to be offended.
That's
it's
right.
the same thing when you like. I always get upset, and maybe Travis, you get this, and maybe you get this as well. When someone says, "Oh, you're so intimidating,"
Yeah,
I do
that
get
a
it.
lot.
I get
I'm
that
sure
a
you
lot,
get that a
yeah.
lot too.
and I will, and I,
definitely do, yeah.
and
I get a
now
lot, yeah.
I actually learned this from a beautiful woman. She gets it. She goes, "Oh, you're just intimidating to men," and she goes, "No, I'm just being. You're intimidated.
Yeah.
I am just there." And I go, "I'm using that." I said that to her. I go, "I'm using that."
That's,
She goes,
I love
fantastic.
that.
That's
That's-
fantastic. And if
Yeah.
what's her name? Do you
I
remember?
forget her. I didn't.
Okay,
talk
well,
to
she's fantastic. If you made up that phrase, if you made up that phrase, we are licensing you to be able to use that. Like
that's
P Diddy has to pay Sting $5,000.
Yeah.
You know, a
I
week.
think her name was Charlotte. She was a dancer at the body shop. No.
Perfect.
But again, it's one of those things of like, I can't control that I'm intimidated. I'm intimidating you.
Right.
Especially when you're not fucking doing anything. You're
Yes.
standing up there
Right.
and talking.
Right.
It's like I'm not up there going, go, and I'm like screaming or anything.
Right.
You're
And-
Well, I
fucking
might
just
be on
talk.
stage doing that.
yeah.
Right. Well, and you guys have seen me scream at white men, so you understand what I
yeah.
So I intimidate. But you know,
But-
I do intimidate. Like I've mentioned this before. Like it's you know, very religious African American rooms. You know, where I come in with my pro-gay, pro-black shit.
Yeah.
They're not buying it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to associate. You know, they don't want to hear it. When I was trying to explain to the greater part of my family during the early days of Facebook, when they all started getting online and seeing me posting gay shit, you know what I mean? You know, they were intimidated by that because they were trying, call me, they're saying all types of crazy shit, you know? And it's like, first of all, if your slave master wasn't a Christian, you wouldn't be a Christian. I've said it a million times. I got it from KRS-One.
Oh,
You know
dude,
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, your religion has been given to you. You know, you haven't done anything to find your own religious belief. You haven't done
Most everyone's religion was given to them.
going back to what you're saying about
It's
the
true,
self,
yeah.
going back
Against
to
their will.
right?
Yeah.
Against their will. Going back to what you're saying about self-reflection. You know, what is your spiritual belief, Mr. Sasson over here? I like to call him Mike.
Occasionally, yeah.
Absolutely. He's an agnostic.
Yes.
With agnostic
Yeah.
tendencies.
Yes.
With
Okay.
a touch of poopy McPooper pants.
Yeah, absolutely.
I accept all of those things.
Absolutely.
By the way, that is future merch.
Yeah, right. It should be. It should be, right. You know what I mean? But he said before
It's
him,
just the poop signal with like going, I don't know.
Yeah. But you've had to arrive to those beliefs after a considerable amount of self-reflection, self-education, proper
one-
school education,
that's
all that.
one thing that I think, especially, I feel bad for I think all of our parents were in the same boat that
Absolutely.
we had.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I don't
We
fault
were
them for that.
again.
Hey, could you turn the air on?
To the AC on? No, it'll fuck up the audio really
It's
bad.
really. Oh my god.
Like really bad, dude. It sounds like the whole podcast would be someone. It's like someone goes.
So that's why I'm not
So we just
moving as
gotta
much
be-
as I used to.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm a little warm.
I know,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I tried to cool it down before it started.
That's
and
okay.
I
That's okay.
failed. I
Well,
failed.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to figure this out. We'll bring in cubes
we're
of
going to be
ice.
sweating.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
We'll bring
okay.
we'll bring in some sort of fan that's not
Fucking
loud.
Travis's big black pussies on the fucking table. That's all I got to say.
That
You
is,
can only see the
it is
edge
a
of it.
big it is a big fat pussy.
It looks like your fur fucking coat as well. That's what it
I'm
looks
sure it does.
But our parents, I mean, my mom and dad had their first kid. They were graduated from college when they were 22. They were married at 23. They had their first kid at 24.
Right.
When that happens,
young.
there's no more self-reflection.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've come to that realization with my own dad, and that's
And
why we
you're
have a
100%
great
right, Mike.
relationship now. Because like I was like, dude, you had me when he was like 23.
Mm.
Of course, he was a dick. I was a dick in my early
Right.
20s, or more of a
Right.
dick, and I'm
Right.
like, I couldn't. And then he just never grew,
Right.
never
Right.
changed, never did anything.
Well, yeah,
just
you
kept
could- you
raising
could-
me.
Because now
Yeah.
you have
Because-
this. That's the one thing now I'm noticing about my brothers and sisters with kids is,
Yeah.
like I talked to my brother about it, and he just goes, "It's every day. It's
Yeah.
every.
Right. Relentless.
They're there.
Relentless.
Relentless.
Every
They're
moment of every
need
day.
machines. They wake up and they need fed. They need attention. They need to go here. They're needing. And then again, if you do that at a point where you have not been, you went directly from childhood into that. You
Right,
now
yeah.
have never actually asked questions about what you actually feel.
And at 23 years old, trust me, because I'm banging them, they're not adults.
Well, they've only had 5 years of
Not-
adulthood.
Not even 5
That's-
years of
yeah, not
adulthood.
even.
Some of them develop later. You know,
Yeah.
their brains. You have no life experience.
That's one of
unless you become a superstar and you've traveled the world a bit. I mean, there are those people who transcend their,
but
their.
but
you know,
even
but still,
that
yeah,
is sort of stunting to you. Like,
Absolutely.
like we talked about with Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever. My theory on why he likes younger women. That's when he became incredibly successful. He has never aged or matured.
In his mind, yes, in Leo DiCaprio's mind, he is the permanent 23-year-old dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or he's fucking 18. That's when he got his success. So he's just been this 18-year-old.
And as a
no matter
society,
what.
we allow him to do that.
Yeah, because he's successful. He's
Right.
crushing it. Why would he
I mean,
need to change?
to his defense, I mean, if you're able to bang the youngins, keep going.
I mean,
brother.
yeah, that's fair
You know what I mean?
enough.
Let's just.
If anyone's pro banging young people,
Let's not psychoanalyze that, gentleman. I'm starting to feel guilty.
Oh, there is no psychoanalyzing it. It really is back to he can, so he does.
He's right,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't know any healthy guy out there, no matter what your sexual orientation is, if you can, you won't.
No,
You know
of
what I
course
mean?
not.
Yeah, fair
One
enough.
thing though, it is weird when you do hang out and
But
start
I do believe
talking-
he was stunted. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you talk to someone who's 21, 22, 23 years old, and then you get to a point of like, oh yeah, I was in high school in 2019
Right.
or 2018, and you're just
Wild.
like, are you fucking kidding
Yeah,
me?
it happens all the time.
Or like the joke I have is where people will talk about where they were on 9/11. And it's now
Yeah,
gone from, oh, I was in Mrs. Carruthers kindergarten class to now, oh, I have no knowledge of 9/11 or I was born a year after 9/11.
I was barely
Yeah.
fluid.
Yeah.
yeah.
9/11.
And you're
Dude,
like,
yeah,
I
think
was
about that.
going to a business
Wild.
meeting because I was going over Q4 numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
I was in 2000. I was in Aruba, partying my balls off, under the guise of business. You know what I mean?
Being the token millennial, I was 13, 14.
Right.
So I was
Right. Think
Fair,
about
you
it.
know.
Right. Think about it. You know what I mean? Again,
old
if-
enough to know and be freaked the fuck out by it.
because of the dating apps, I have slept with 23-year-olds, and that means that they were born in 2000. 2000 is the year.
God.
2000 is the year that I moved to California.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's just you just have to just put it in perspective. You know what I mean? I remember when me and Mikey Silver were starting our Magic School Bus production. You know what I mean? And he was like, "We should name it Magic School Bus." I was like, "What the fuck is Magic School Bus?"
Oh, that's right. You wouldn't have known. Yeah.
I had no idea until he told me. I had to go back and watch episodes. You know what I mean?
Miss Frizzle was
Miss
the
Frizzle, yeah. I had no idea what Magic School Bus was. But that's
That's my generation.
Dude, I was Bugs Bunny and Donald Duck. I was the Flintstones, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know?
That's what always, again, it freaks me out when an album or a movie that I remember being released Like he'll be like, "Oh, it's the 30th anniversary of the Metallica Black album,"
Preach, brother.
which was actually 2 years ago.
Right.
And I'm like, "Whoa,
Whoa. Yeah, there
like
you go. Yeah.
I remember buying that the week it came out.
Right.
Like, and by the way, kids, you had to go to a physical store
To get it.
and to
Yeah.
get a piece of plastic.
What were the
and
names
then
of those stores? There was like what was it? It was like Tower Records.
National Record Mart.
Yeah.
FYE was one. Was
Yep.
FYE a big
Yeah.
one? That was more my generation. That was the big. They had the big guitars
They were
in every
so
mall.
cool.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
would just
there's
you would just
band
go into
shirts
a
there and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah.
you would go into a record store. You'd go into a and just go through the tapes and
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
There'd be a real
yeah.
opinionated guy at the counter, and you'd put a CD
Yeah,
there, and
yeah.
he'd be like, "Oh, bro, this is what you need," and
Yeah.
he could give you some insight
Yeah.
no one else could
Yeah.
give you.
In
and
my
fuck.
DJ days, which if you figure from like 95, 96 through 2007, we
Proper
would,
DJing.
Yeah, proper DJing. We would travel the country and we would go to record stores all across. You go to San Francisco to buy vinyl.
That's rad.
And we would be standing. You know, the time that I was telling you that I was met Muhammad Ali, I was in a record store listening to vinyl when the car pulls up, looking out the window. When I was like, "Holy shit!" I mean,
Nuts.
you know, it was a completely different time now. Now all of those records in San Francisco, record places in San Francisco, Los Angeles, all of them are gone. You know, Doc Martens wax is gone here in LA.
Yeah, it's really, it's really removed the social aspect of your hobbies in a lot of ways.
Absolutely, yeah.
But everything's so online. It is kind of
Right.
sad that, even something as silly as like if I wanted to play Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon cards, you had to physically go to a place and
Right.
physically meet other people.
Dungeons
that
and
were into
Dragons.
it. Exactly. And now everything, you just stay in your house.
I
Just stay in
remember
your house,
again.
yep.
Now speaking of my age, I remember when the concept of the information superhighway, aka the internet, came out.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And
you
one
have
of
no
the
idea.
things that they talked about was how
Wow.
much it was going to bring people together.
Yeah.
Because the people who were developing were like, well, wait a minute. If you like the Beatles, then you'll be able to connect with someone in a different state or a different country
Yeah.
that loves the Beatles. And so you'll be as one and it'll bring us all together. And I'm like, if someone could go back in a time machine and be like, well, actually what's going to happen is you'll
can
like the
download porn.
Beatles. You'll actually never meet someone ever again, and you'll feel incredibly alone because
Yeah.
because the person who you most connect to lives in another country and possibly isn't even real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know-
So actually, it made you completely alone.
My second business partner, my first was Mark Wilson when we tried to open this fruit stand in Philadelphia. But my second business partner was Yang Sam Park, and I was 23 years old. I moved to Atlanta, and he was a former Nokia Datacom engineer. And I was like this rising. I was like the baller of selling semiconductors at the time. I was like took to it as it was legal drug dealing. I got really good at it really quickly.
Yeah.
And I remember this is 93, 94. He comes into my office, and he's like, "Oh, Rumbush, you must look. This internet is going to be. It's digital new world. It's digital new everything here." You can put in New World because he had early patents to the modem, you know. So he was a Nokia Datacom engineer,
Yeah.
you know. And so right, and so he started teaching me what the internet was, and we were one of the first people with websites. I remember we were designing a website, and this is 94, 95 when
that's so early.
literally we're talking Alta Vista. Digital Equipment Corporation was still around. Alta Vista was the only browser ever. There was no Netscape. You know,
I remember a kid.
you could walk into a home and have Atari systems.
Yes. I remember 94. Like you talk about 94. So I was in high school still. So I remember.
a little cute little assassin.
Well, I was 6'3" at the time.
Oh, okay.
I was 4.
Whoa.
I remember walking into
so
one
we'll
of-
say "oh" to you, but that's this
Yeah.
motherfucker.
So a guy that I knew pulled out a laptop.
Yeah.
And remember, laptops at that point like weighed 40 pounds.
Yeah, at least
fucking
40 pounds.
Yeah.
enormous,
And so he
yeah.
pulls out this and he plugs into the phone line.
Yeah.
And he just goes nuts with like the numbers.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
old school.
Yeah.
And then he, like 5 minutes later, he flips it around and it's a naked woman.
Right.
And we were all just like, where did that come from? What is that? And you're
Yeah, that's
just
how-
like,
yeah.
that's the internet.
Yeah.
And we had just heard about it on the news and be like, really? That's
Yeah.
the internet?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he's like, do another one. And like 5 minutes later, boom,
Yeah.
another naked woman. Like, but it was
Right.
like 5 minutes to get
You know,
to
of
download-
code,
to
to
download,
download, to find, all this kind of
Absolutely.
The
stuff.
patience of perverts have really decreased
Absolutely.
over time, I gotta say.
Well, you know, it remains true today okay, it remains true today that the porn industry pushes technology.
Oh, that's why Blu-ray took off instead of HD DVD.
Because you have the more that people got online and the more we started watching porn actually drove for most of was the leading cause of the need for better. Besides business communication,
you got to speed this shit up
for consumers. Yeah, for consumers. You had business transactions like IBM and stuff like that. But honestly, it was like for consumers, it's like if I'm going to, you couldn't watch TV online. There was no
funny videos.
There were no funny videos online. There were no memes online. There was no YouTube. The only thing that you could get online as a consumer, besides the address to your local business, because they didn't have a website, was porn.
So you're old enough to remember. I don't know if you are.
I may be old enough.
Going into the video store.
Don't you look at me like that,
and
Mike.
having behind the beaded
ageism, ladies and gentlemen.
Behind the beads.
Yeah.
Would be the porn.
Absolutely.
It would be like, here's the weird.
There's a place in Koreatown like that. It's all Latin owned and shit with all these seedy, like, it's hilarious. It feels like you're walking into the 70s. Truly. You're 100% right.
Yeah, that's where you had to go get your porn.
Right.
Would you'd walk in and there'd be like on the shelves, like Mary Poppins and Top Gun and everything like that.
Yeah.
But in the back, it would say adults only. And if you ever, as a kid, would even peer into that room,
right,
you get taken. We still had some in the late
absolutely.
90s, early 2000s in Ohio.
I'll freak you guys out. So my first porn experience, like when I first orgasmed for the first time using porn, because there was only straight porn, and I never obviously. In my mind, it was more.
You had to get real deep. For
it was more. For me.
Yeah, that guy would have to be typing for hours to get
right.
to that.
Oh my god! But for me, when I was a kid, my teens, looking at a porn magazine with girls with their pussies and their tits and shit, I was just like, okay. It was more like a science looking at. It was like more like But there's this magazine. I don't know if it's still out or not. It's called Forum magazine, and they had these erotic stories. Forum.
Oh, okay.
FORUM.
Oh, yeah.
Forum magazine.
Is that Penthouse Forum?
I know it's important. It was literally called Forum at the time.
I think they're ripping off Penthouse Forum.
Wouldn't doubt it. Just another brand of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they had these erotic stories. And one of them was about these two guys that went on a hike, and he broke his leg, and his friend started to help him. And next thing you know, they're blowing each other. And I was just
as what happens when you go on hikes.
Absolutely.
Which is why anytime anybody goes on a hike, if you come to Los Angeles and someone goes, hey, you want to go on a hike? He wants to blow you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the only reason I go on hikes now is like breaking your leg and blowing you.
Ron comes in like he's Galooly from fucking, okay, I'm using the 90s references.
Thank you, because I have no idea. I'm too old to know what that is. Go ahead.
Yes, you do. You know who that is. And break the leg and be like, oh, I guess we're on this trail.
Oh, what movie was that? That was the
Tanya Harding.
Oh yeah. Oh, Tanya Harding. But then there was that movie where they put where was it? They put the make him squeal like a pig boy, and they put
that's Deliverance.
Deliverance. Right. That's what I thought the reference was.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Now we got that out of the way.
But that's
just
so you know when you come to Los
broken
Angeles.
leg, by the way.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said, what a treatment for a broken leg. What
right.
I mean? I feel like,
dude,
he totally forgot about the broken leg.
You do. Can you imagine every time you got injured, some guy fucking tended to you and then blew you? I mean, come on, that's
I'd
fucking
be tripping over everything.
That's what I'm saying.
If a female doctor had that as the treatment, Yelp reviews would be beyond 5 stars.
Through the roof.
Yeah. Do you imagine, like, I had a cold, she gave me some medicine and then blew me.
This will make you feel better.
Wild.
Yeah, you're right. I feel better. I do.
Can I see Dr. Lewison? She's booked until 2028.
Yeah. Right. No shit. But yeah, that's pretty much.
Oh, you're suffering from anxiety? Yes, doctor.
Yes, I am. I have a broken leg and I'm anxiety and I have a flu. Please blow me.
Yes, I can't get rid of this giant heart on.
I can take care of that for you.
Yeah. Mike Mortor has this joke where he's like, he's watching, he's into doctor porn where it's like, these Russian people are like, you have broken neck. What's wrong? What's wrong? I have broken neck. Oh, let me blow you. It's like the perfect. It's
neck not. It feels great, doc.
Oh, so loose now.
Feel loose, ready to invade Ukraine. They feel wonderful.
It's fucking hilarious. You know what I mean?
Oh, no wonder their troops are doing so bad. They're just getting their dicks sucked too often.
What if that's what's happening in Ukraine? They're just like, Vladimir Putin, what is the problem? Why can't we destroy Ukraine? all of these soldiers
You're getting
are
their dick sucked.
sucking each other's cocks.
All of their balls are completely empty. What do we do?
They don't even care. And it's like, oh, here come Ukrainian. I am already come.
Doesn't
Whatever.
matter. It's so chill right
Yes.
now.
Let me tell you something. I was watching, because I'm a political nerd. One of my guilty pleasures right now is watching these Ukrainian videos. Like these people from Ukraine showing how the Russians are getting their asses kicked.
Yeah.
Dude, it's wild.
And so of course YouTube now starts feeding me like everything about U.S. weaponry. Which
That's how that algorithm
right,
treats you.
which is becoming my second guilty pleasure. So I'm like watching how do these weapons actually work? You know what I mean? And
Especially with your tech background and everything.
absolutely, I'm a technical guy, so I was like,
yeah.
there's guided missile systems and a wire missile versus a laser guided missile and all this other stuff.
Wild.
It's insane, right? But there was this thing where there was like, the U.S.'s largest. They were doing a walkthrough of the United States' largest new nuclear submarine. So they go inside this nuclear submarine, and it's a bunch of men underwater for months at a time.
Oh, yeah.
Why didn't I know that? I could have joined the Navy, and
I said the Navy's been gay for a while.
I would have been in the Navy, man.
Yeah.
Fuck, are you kidding me?
I mean, there's a reason why the Village People sang a song called "In, the Navy."
Wow.
You can serve the 7 seas.
I was so afraid
in
of
the
myself.
Navy.
I was so afraid of
A
myself.
lot of men
Yeah.
in the Navy.
I was so afraid of myself. I would have joined the Navy. I had no
you would
idea.
have had a great fucking
I would have been
time,
a
dude.
gay old time.
Admiral Bush.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He'd be a
Absolutely.
head of the
full-bird
seven-
colonel right now.
How many
Oh,
how
fuck,
many
that'd be
seamen do
fucking-
you have under you?
Yeah, I mean,
All of them.
right. I'd be like gay Colin Powell right now. Are you kidding me? It's like,
Oh my God! She's just like this. Why is our Navy can't even get out of port? What's going
right,
on?
right, it's like, right.
It's just Admiral Bush. Why can't they
Right.
get? It's been port week for 6
Right.
months.
Under your leadership, production has dropped 5,000%.
Yeah,
What's happening?
Yeah.
But our
hand-to-hand-
ability to make songs and just dance is up the
Yeah,
roof. Up
yeah.
the roof.
And tell jokes. To tell jokes too.
It's all jokes.
Come on, Mike. You have to be doing stand up too. But it's like hand to hand combat would end with a blowjob.
It's like, that's the training. It's like, oh, I know you grandpa them, then you come here, then you suck his cock. Excuse me, what? Just do it.
You either do that or eat his ass. It's one of those two, from what I understand.
In the Navy.
There was a military game called King of the Hill, just like the cartoon. But it means like some guy starts and he fights everyone in a line, and whoever he becomes king of the hill if you can defeat everyone underneath him. So you'd kind of do that, but with dick sucking, I think. You know what I mean?
Oh, bro, come on now.
Undefeated king of the hill.
3-4 guys at a time. It'd be fucking on, bro. Come on. It looked like a fucking goddamn from an aerial view, like a bunch of worms swirling around in a pit.
Imagine, that spy balloon from China, which is like, we cannot invade. Why is it? They're sucking each other's dicks. I don't.
Can we get to the lightning round?
Oh,
Lightning round,
Robert's
yeah,
right
go
on,
ahead.
We're ready for the lightning round. Travis, pull up my email here.
Okay, which one you want to start with? We got a plethora
We
of
do.
options.
We do. Okay, so I do want to touch back with the big news of this week of the expelling of those 2 black men out of Tennessee.
Oh, yes.
That and our former president was arrested.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Completely forgot about that one.
Right.
Pretty wild when the news is getting so crazy. Trump being arrested is almost irrelevant
Well, he's desensitized us so much
to wild shit. Yeah.
to what is to what's right and wrong. I mean, I think people like ourselves are just if you're not throwing the guy if you're not going to throw the guy in jail, just fuck it. I mean, I don't need to watch anymore. You know what I mean? And
also the one in New York, if you read the legal briefings, the DA there is really trying to weave a legal needle that's really difficult.
Right.
Like the one in Georgia is the one that has it sounds like
the
has
most meat.
the most
Absolutely.
meat
That
on it.
one's like
This
proper
one is
jail
kind of like,
time,
well, he's trying to take something that's local and make it federal and all this.
Well,
kind of stuff.
the reality of it is what he's been charged with in New York. It is not. He won't go to jail for it. Most people wouldn't.
No.
When people. He's not expected to go to prison for that. He's probably going to he'll get booked and he'll have some type of fine or whatever. But ultimately, excuse me, I'm sorry about this. He will not be going to jail for that.
No.
Now, and the Georgia situation, absolutely. But
Yeah, I mean that's super fucking illegal. Like,
Yeah,
trying to
absolutely.
buy votes.
What, you
Yeah,
can't just
absolutely.
ask the guy to find 11,000 votes?
Yeah, that's wild. Man.
But I just wanted to. We were talking about this last week. Okay, people voting against their own self interest, and
Oh,
besides the so these two black lawmakers, one of them have.
Oh, and don't forget there were 3.
There were 3. We're going to get into it.
Yeah.
Let me run for you for a second.
Yep.
So these 2 black lawmakers were expelled when the third lawmaker, who was a white woman, was not.
Yep.
Okay, and the reason why they were expelled is because they protested gun violence and there was no laws being passed and no action being taken in the Tennessee House to curb gun violence. And so then we started finding out, if you watch some of the interviews, folks, with these brothers and this sister and this sister that this white woman, who we're just call her sister, the sister politician, was talking about. They were there's a super majority, so they weren't being heard. The reason why they went to the floor with the bullhorn is because they were turning off their microphones. They were turning off their ability to vote.
Yeah,
they were not calling on them when they were raised.
Yeah.
So nothing they did. They were basically they were there in physical body only. These guys were told they were called uppity. They were called.
Oh my God,
it's like the amount of so you call out gun. So stop killing our kids. You're a fucking nigger. That's what it's like. It's pretty much what they went for.
Like they said, know your place. I don't know how.
Know
many
your
times
place.
and
Know your
addressing
place.
them, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's-
Jesus
It's
Christ.
just right, but that's exactly right. And so when your children, folks, you don't even give a fuck about your children. Come on, man.
So, in related to that,
Yeah.
I have something. It's a conservative commentator on the email that I sent.
Okay.
There's a clip of it.
I like how we send Travis these emails.
Yes.
I like to
It's
fit
it's very much connected to what
Right.
you're talking about.
That's not it. We're
Which one
going
is
to get to Mike Sassen's section here for a second. Don't
Yeah.
spoil it so everybody can see it, Travis.
Oh no, I got it on mic. They can't
the
see.
white-
Okay.
white
No, I know what I'm doing over
Yeah,
here.
all
Don't worry,
right.
don't worry.
Not that.
White
Is
people.
it this one?
Not that.
See how he is. He's giving away all your stuff.
Not that. That's Don Lemon acting like an asshole.
Oh, surprise.
Yeah. Let me see that one. Yes. Find
Oh.
Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is
such a cunt.
okay. He's a conservative commentator,
Surprise.
Yeah,
and he was on, and he and I wanna play this clip because I'm gonna do something that you don't expect me to do. But Charlie Kirk says
Blow me.
gun deaths. I think eventually everyone expects that. Charlie Kirk says gun deaths unfortunate, worth it to keep the Second Amendment.
It's insane.
So, but watch his clip. I want you to find the clip and then play it. And I want you to get, because I'm going to do something that's, I kind of, when I saw the clip, in a perverse way, I kind of agree with what he's saying. Because play the clip.
Give me a second. We have to get through ads here. We're not
Ads.
we can't
Right. And
subscribe
while
to
we're getting through ads, he believes that until the guy with the M16 kicks in his door,
Yes.
then all of a sudden we have a problem.
Yes.
Right? These guys have police security. They can hire security detail that's paid for by the government. They have all these protections, including universal health care, full health care for them and their families. Let's not forget that.
Well, one thing that he brought up, and eventually when we find this recording,
Right.
Well, it's stifled underneath every fucking news article you can think of.
And we just want to listen. I was giving Travis a little shit earlier. He's doing a great job.
He is
over
doing a
there
great job.
for now.
Here we go.
but we'll talk about it. Here we are.
All right, here we go.
Okay, here's the clip. Cool.
Let me play it through here.
Second Amendment fan, but I think most politicians are cowards when it comes to defending why we have a Second Amendment. This is why I would not be a good politician, or maybe I would, I don't know, but because I actually speak my mind.
You're a
The
racist,
Second
you
Amendment's
wouldn't
not
be.
about
No,
hunting.
he's
I love
a cunt.
hunting. The Second Amendment is not even about personal defense. That is important. The Second Amendment is there, God forbid, so that you can defend yourself against a tyrannical government.
I don't agree with that.
No, it's not true.
That's not
Yeah.
the part
Good
that
luck.
I keep
matter,
going.
matter of fact, there's a Supreme Court justice that says he's wrong, but go ahead.
Yeah, I don't
And
agree with
if
that.
that talk scares you, wow, that's radical, Charlie. I don't know about that.
It's not that
Well, then you
radical.
have not really read any of the literature of our founding fathers. Number two, you've not read any 20th century history. You're just living in Narnia.
He's completely lying right now.
By the way, if you were actually living in Narnia, you would be wiser than wherever you're living because C.S. Lewis was really smart. So I don't know what alternative universe you're living in. You just don't want to face reality that governments tend to get tyrannical and that if people need an ability to protect themselves and their communities and their families. Now, we must also be real. We must be honest with the population.
This is the part I agree with.
Having an armed citizenry comes with a price. And that is part of liberty. Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. Wow. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. Right. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home.
He's insane.
By having more armed guards in front of schools.
By adding more guns.
These people, I can't even.
So press pause.
Should have
Press pause, because I want to talk about what I actually agree with.
That's
If you believe that the Second Amendment says that you get to have military-style weaponry in your home, the trade-off is murdered kids.
Right.
So I do agree with him there.
I mean,
you're not going to get it to zero if you have the Second Amendment as it currently stands.
Right.
So you have to ask yourself that question.
Yeah.
Because right now, in the world that we live in, if you want to continue to have, again, military-style guns, because one thing that I always love when people talk about gun control is people go, well, it says in the Second Amendment. Well, let me ask you this question. Can Jeff Bezos buy a fully armed stealth bomber? Yes. The answer is no, he can't.
Oh, interesting.
Legally, you cannot own a fully armed. He can buy a stealth bomber, but he cannot own a fully armed with the weapon systems.
No. Okay, got you. Yeah, right.
Okay,
right.
Same thing with.
Yeah, you can have certain type of rockets you're not allowed to have.
Bill Gates can't have nuclear warheads.
Yep.
Okay, because we have deemed those to be weapons of mass destruction and weapons that the military only has.
Right.
Yep.
And so when someone says gun control, they're not saying you can't have weapons. They're saying you can't have guns that are designed to be carried by a soldier in war to kill mass amounts of people, which, by the way, are the favorite of these people that are going into our schools.
Yeah.
So the answer is, and this is why, in a perverse way, I agree with what he's saying. If you want the current status quo, then you are accepting dead kids.
Right.
Yeah.
And most likely, eventually, one of your children will be killed. And I just want to pick apart what he's saying. So what he's saying, and what all these ignorant human beings are screaming and clapping about in this audience, is that there's a tyrannical government that is going to come, that's going to oppress you so much that you have to take up arms. So let's poke a little hole in that. Okay. So let's pretend everyone in Los Angeles has an M16. And now we have decided that conservatives, we've had enough. Yep. And we're going to get in our cars, and we're going to get in our lowriders, and we're going to get in our SUVs, and we're going to start driving across the country with M16s, and we're going to start taking over these tyrannical governments who are oppressing us. Or let's say that happens in Texas. Do you not think the government has more guns than you? Does the government not? So are you supposing that you and the state of California with M16s can overthrow the federal government? You've lost your mind. Tyrannical government. I need to ask you something. What is a tyrannical government to you? Is a tyrannical government a government that's not giving you everything you want? Or are they beating and killing you? Are they spraying? Do you not have certain internet access like you have in Russia and China? Do you have people murdering entire sections of cities and spray? That's tyrannical government. The tyrannical government these people are protesting is that you're not getting exactly what you want. That other people can have freedoms. Yeah. That trans kids can be able to get the medication that they need. That homeless people can get the housing that they need. That poor, disadvantaged people don't have to put their kids to bed hungry every night. That's the tyrannical government that you're protesting. Let's keep it in perspective. You're not protesting a government that's actually killing you. Not one person, not one fat ass in that audience has to go home tonight and worry about being oppressed. Not one of them. They're talking about a tyrannical government. Their tyrannical government doesn't exist. The tyrannical government, if every nigga in this country did that, now I would be like, okay, I completely understand.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, you fight against a tyrannical government. A bunch of cops killing you all the time. That is the government, and they called terrible fucking things.
Again,
and said you were
I was
wrong.
watching a Malcolm X video the other day doing research for Getting Ready for a podcast. Okay, and it was amazing. First of all, you do see how much we have progressed. I mean, my God, there was in the 50s and the 60s, there was, a major discussion between, debate, the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X's. Okay, do we fight for our rights or do we do nonviolent?
Yep.
Right. That was the debate, and that's who Malcolm X was. Okay, until before he went to Mecca. Okay, and turned against Elijah Muhammad. Now, in this one video that I was watching, and the video, if you want to look at it, is a bullet or the ballot, and what he's talking about is, as black people, you ask us to vote. It's because of black people that, he was talking about how in white America, it's always 50-50. It's always 50-50 with white America. Half the people believe in this, half the people don't. Depending on the issues that are being presented, it fluctuates. But it's the minorities that vote Democrat because it's the lesser of two evils, and it's still like that today. Right? And so if you're talking about a tyrannical government, you have never in your life seen mass black people storm a Capitol. You've never seen in your life black people storm a police station and start killing everybody. You've never seen in your life black people taking up arms in some remote part of some godforsaken place and say that we're going to be some type of our own government and you can't come get us and I dare you to come get our guns. You've never seen it. You've never seen it. Your tyrannical government is you.
Yeah. Well, and also, again, when we talk about the Second Amendment,
you just go, boy.
Well, first off, and this
I just called him boy too.
Yeah, you can. I go for it.
Boy.
Anyways, so the thing that I always love with the Second Amendment is, again, I believe you have a right to guns. I want you to have guns, but what I always love is when they don't read the whole sentence.
Oh, thank you.
Because, like, for instance, everyone always goes, you know what? Because it says in the Constitution, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And I'm like, wait a minute. There's a first part to that sentence.
Oh, yeah.
It says,
go for it.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to bear arms shall not be interpreted. So first off, let's talk about that. Number one, a well-regulated.
Oh, did you say regulation?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Not
You
barely
mean communism?
Barely regulated.
He's totally communist. He's total communist.
Goddamn commie over here.
I'm a commie over here reading verbatim
the U.S. Constitution.
what the U.S. Constitution says. It says a well-regulated militia. So it already states in there that there would be regulation in that, being necessary for the security of a free state. So it also says militia.
Right.
So here's my other thing. If you want those military style guns, then I want you to every, let's say 2 to 3 weeks, go to your nearest U.S., fort and be ready to be sent to Ukraine.
Oh, like the National Guard?
Yes.
Okay.
Because guess what? You are now part of the militia.
Right.
That's what you are. You are part of a well-regulated militia.
Right.
It doesn't say in order to, protect your home from people that don't look like you, you get to carry any gun that you want.
Real quickly, Mike.
Yes,
Travis, could you Google Supreme Court Justice who said Second Amendment was the biggest travesty? He was a conservative Supreme Court Justice, and he's like an icon of the right. Just see if you can do that. And continue, Mike. I just wanted to pull that up.
But again, when we sit there and we talk about, okay, another thing that this guy said, and it's almost getting to the point to where...
Oh, shit. Mike's getting comfortable.
Well, first off, he says, okay, number one, it goes, the Second Amendment is for the protection against a tyrannical government. Well, really what they were trying to do in 1789 was trying to protect against the fact that the British were going to come back.
Right.
And muskets. Don't forget muskets.
Right.
Yeah, and also the weaponry what they had
Right.
was not something to where they could walk into a school. Like, for instance...
Hence the militia, because you have to have each town need to defend themselves against the redcoats. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, and I understand if you sit there and go, hey, I live in the country. If something were to happen to me, the cops are a 15-minute drive from me. I understand. I want you to be able to have a gun. I want you to be able to have a shotgun. I want you to be able to go hunting. I want you to be able to have all those things. But let's talk honestly about the well-regulated part.
Right.
Because right now, like Barack Obama had this speech late in his presidency when he was in a CNN town hall, and this guy sits there and goes, "You're trying to take away my guns." And he sits there and goes, "No, understand something. The NRA is making it that we can't even discuss things that could make guns safer."
You don't even let us study or categorize or chronicleize, I believe is the way to say it.
As a health emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're making it to where we can't do anything with it.
Right.
Yeah, the stats.
And by the way, just to my final answer to that jackass is, you know what also reduces crime? Equality.
Yeah.
Healthcare. So your child isn't dying in your hands. Or in your house, and you have nothing to do, where you actually can make a living wage, and you're not driving fucking Uber at night and having a job.
Yeah, you don't need to kill and rob if you have money.
You don't have to kill and rob if you live comfortably.
Yeah. Oh, also Charlie Kirk answered his own question there. He talked about compared driving in cars to guns.
Right.
Well, what do you have to do to
License and registration, baby.
drive a fucking car?
License, registration, and insurance.
Not everyone can just pick up a fucking car and go for a joyride, can they?
Right.
So there it is, baby.
Yeah, but again,
regulated
car driving.
Yes.
Right. But it's
a picture that you have to take a test.
Right.
You have cop can beat your ass if you don't show them that picture.
But these people are sitting there clapping, die. Like, it's like you're not able to think because you don't read, because your schools have failed you. You believe what this jackass is telling you. You know what I'm saying? That's what's happening.
It's the smooth talking nature of it. Like, it's how they get people. Like, he's citing a lot of stuff. He also said no one reads 20th century literature. That's not when the fucking Constitution was even signed. What the fuck are you even talking about?
But in that regard, he's actually right, because no one in that room is reading anything.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. They're not
know
reading
what I'm
anything.
So we actually agree with a good amount of what he actually said.
Saying,
Charlie Kirk is right on the money.
With certain things, he was absolutely right on the money.
But scroll this up here. Let's get this name of the Supreme Court justice.
Yeah,
we
it
can
is
move on.
right here. Oh, well, of course. Fucking ads, dude.
Okay. Former Chief Justice Warren Burger. Okay. This guy. If he were writing the Bill of Rights, he said in 1991 there wouldn't be any such thing as the Second Amendment.
So let's get a picture.
You want to play that? You want to play that video right there?
It says it declared on PBS that the Second Amendment has been the subject of one of the greatest pieces of fraud. I repeat.
Oh, look at this sexy.
Oh,
man
here it
right
is.
there.
Here we go. And this, you have to understand how conservative this guy
Chief
was.
Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court from 1969 to 1986.
Racist.
Charlene Hunter Galt spoke to him last week.
If I were writing the Bill of Rights now, there wouldn't be any such thing as the Second Amendment.
Which says?
That
Mike
a
Sossin.
well-regulated militia being necessary for the defense of the state, the people's rights to bear arms. This has been the subject of one of the greatest pieces of fraud, I repeat the word fraud, on the American public by special interest groups that I have ever seen in my lifetime.
And he's not racist.
Now just look at those words. There are only 3 lines to that amendment. A well-regulated militia. If the militia, which was going to be the state army, was going to be well-regulated, why shouldn't 16 and 17 and 18 or any other age persons be regulated in the use of arms the way an automobile is regulated?
There it is.
There you go.
Chief Justice.
There it is.
There we go. Just right there, Charlie Kirk. Mike, Ron, Travis, and Chief Justice Warren Burger. Conservative. Just shut you down, buddy.
Also, could you get a better picture of an old white motherfucker?
Can we,
who's disagreeing with? Charlie
But I do want to change the tone. Okay.
tone shift.
Okay. There's an article in there. Vegans are murderers. I sent it to you.
Okay, let me pull that.
If you can pull that up for us here.
Yeah.
Okay. So every time my vegan brothers and sisters, and listen, I jokingly say to all my vegan friends, and they hate me when I say this. I love vegan food. I have no problem with it. I love to go to vegan restaurants. Sometimes I just wish I would have brought a steak. Right?
Yes.
And I've always said this, and I've said this. Listen, I am not against veganism, and I do believe that our food, the way that we produce our food, needs to be better regulated. The way that we slaughter our animals, raise and slaughter our animals, the way that we harvest our food, the chemicals we put on our vegetables and our fruits, all
pesticides, shit like that.
all of it, from head to toe, from fucking peas and carrots to fucking lamb chops and beef. I think it all needs to be changed in the way we do it. But right here, just to prove my point, vegans, plants aren't silent. They make clicking sounds. A study finds.
Yeah.
Okay. And so these plants communicate with each other when there's drought, when there's danger coming, when there's things like this. So so if you think that you are killing plants because they're not a sentient being, as the Hindu spiritual practice would teach you, everything that is living is a sentient being, including the roses that you clip, including the grass that you cut, the ant and the earthworm that you stomp on, and the snail that you eat. To everything's a sentient being. So if you're trying not to kill sentient beings, you're fucked. If you're trying to provide a more healthy way to eat, then you have to change the entire food, the entire way that we're saying. I'm not saying people shouldn't eat less meat. I'm not trying to get into any of that. But if we're going to have an honest conversation about veganism versus how we buy and produce meat today, let's actually look at everything, because I don't see how farming.
Especially vegans being anti-eggs and milk. It's a very renewable. It doesn't hurt anything. It's unfertilized. It's not even life.
Because ultimately vegans, and if we really want to get into something, if I don't think I have any vegan brothers or sisters like you do. But one of the things
we're all brothers and sisters.
I know, we are.
See that he hated. I had to pull it out of him.
I know.
Like my condoms.
The one of. That's not true. I usually fart them out. Anyways.
And they turn into big, beautiful balloons.
Yeah. Anything. First off, you're right. Anything that grows, anything that, as at one point was a seed, whatever, you're right, is living. It's a different type of living. The other thing, though, that I always find with vegans is it's a sign of your privilege. Because if you sit there and you're part of the world where you can go, oh, I only eat this because I have this and have that. And I'm like, and that's why the rest of the world needs to eat like this. I'm like, we just need to produce enough food to make sure that no one goes without.
Right.
And until we get to that point, then we can make moral judgments on that. But as long as there are people going to sleep, as long as they're going to sleep hungry, along with children that are dying of starvation, which is happening every day, until that is taken care of, then we'll get into the moral outrage on meat and this and that and everything like that. And so to me, anytime I ever hear somebody just going like, oh, I don't eat this and I don't eat that, I'm just like, well, thank you for explaining how privileged you are on this world.
And again, I support veganism. I support it 100%. I believe that if we had better farming and local farming and no pesticide farming and all that, I am 100% on board with any vegan perspective on the benefits of being a vegan, except when you start talking about why I shouldn't eat meat.
I believe in veganism the same way that I believe in any religion. As long as you keep it to yourself and you believe
they never do.
That you ultimately are just living your life and you feel that you're helping with yourself, by all means, go ahead.
Right.
Veganism is it's a religion. It's any religion that Christianity, veganism, all that kind of stuff. It's a group. You feel good about yourself. God bless. Leave me alone about it.
And so just to take, and again, I think that if I heard this from a nutritionist one time, instead of just declaring that you're a vegan, go to a nutritionist, have your blood taken, and then find out what you should eat to make sure that you are digesting the right things at the right times. There's way for you to change your diet to be healthy. Don't just tell somebody that you don't know to become a vegan.
Yeah, also my favorite is bodybuilders who try to go vegan for a while, even though they're taking steroids, which is derived from pigs. I mean, we don't have to get into that. But they always say they compare them to gorillas, one of the strongest animals. And gorillas eat 43 pounds of vegetation and have an enzyme in their stomach that can turn that into suitable protein.
Right.
You're not a fucking gorilla.
Right. And you know,
You're a
listen,
person.
and they do,
I
and-
love
and-
anybody who does kind of create that, like, you know, because a gorilla just says, and you're just like, that's a stupid analogy.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not
yeah.
a gorilla.
and here's the thing, you know, they have improved vegan protein. They have improved vegan supplements where, you know, you can actually work out and get a great workout, you know, with vegan products. So again, I'm not against veganism, but and on top of that, I am a purchaser and consumer of Impossible Burger and the other one. What is it? It's Impossible and the other brand, Beyond Burger.
Beyond, yeah.
You know, but let me tell you something, okay?
I've had them. I think they're fine.
They're good for breakfast. If I want a little bit of a difference and have a breakfast patty instead of like you know, sausage, sure.
grease,
But
yeah.
motherfucker, don't tell me that shit tastes like meat. It doesn't. Okay, and if you didn't
beans.
stop making, if veganism is so wonderful, stop trying to make it be like meat. Okay, I just
yeah. People who love jackfruit and they're like, it has the same texture as pulled pork. I was like, first of all, no, it doesn't.
no, it doesn't.
But why do you want pulled pork so bad? All right, eat
Right.
your fucking vegetables.
Eat your vegetables. Again, that's my point. I'm
You
not
chose
against it.
vegetables, eat vegetables.
Stop lying to people.
Eat your
Telling,
carrot.
yeah, stop. You have convinced yourself that it's the same. It's not.
No.
And you know, and by the way, you're able to start buying. They're starting to make lab manufactured meat, which I think is a great alternative to cows farting all over the place. 100%. But pull up my next article just to support it, and it's about mammoth meat. There we go. I would eat the shit out of this.
So this is
Meatballs made with mammoth DNA, created by Australian food startup. They are making mammoth
look at this thing
meatballs.
too. Look at that.
Yum. Look how they put like little.
Yeah, it's like a charcuterie board.
It's hilarious. Does not look very appealing. Okay, I just need to say that.
That's rough.
But
Steaming.
they have taken the DNA from a mammoth and they mixed it with a cow or something else or an elephant, and they've made now like these. They've generated in a petri dish mammoth meatballs. And I would definitely try one. Okay, just to say that I did it. Okay,
I'll try one.
You know what I mean?
I wouldn't care. Again,
Right.
it goes back to I don't care.
You don't care, right? I love you, Mike. That's right. But
Give it a shot.
But again, just going back to you for my vegan brothers and sisters, I understand your argument, but you need to to make your argument more realistic and more appealing. Just tell people about the health benefits. Tell them to go to a nutritionist and find out if eating 40 pounds of meat every week is healthy for you, and then people can make their own decisions. I don't need to walk into a nightclub or sit in public transportation or to go to a stadium or at a party and somebody keeps announcing to me that they're vegan. I don't care what you eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, back to that. Yeah, it really just comes down to in those situations, we just don't care what you do, so keep it to yourself.
Keep it to yourself. Yeah.
One more. I'd like a story. Now, this, again,
Mike?
this is a story that I think that, I don't know where you guys would be on this, but it's about the subway system.
I'm on homosexuality with this.
I know. I want to get the black homosexual perspective on this. Nope, that's Kid Rock. I never want to see him again.
Oh, my God.
All right, that's about Trump. We already talked about him.
Hopefully he goes to jail.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
All right, so this was in the Los Angeles Times. LA blasting classical music to drive out unhoused people from subway station is louder than officials claim. So you guys have, again, when we live in Los Angeles, sometimes you go by a 7-Eleven and blasting classical music. The reason why they do it is so that essentially unhoused people,
It gets me the
homeless
fuck out
people,
of there, yeah.
gets all I can. So
Why classical music?
I guess it classes the place up. So
Why don't they just play like any Christian rock song?
honestly, I'd rather have classical, but
That's very true. That's very true.
so here's yeah, I mean, if they had Metallica or something, that'd be cool, but some Van Halen would be
but
awesome.
they'd turn into a party then.
Yeah, why not
yeah.
we do that? Why don't we
They
blast some techno or
That's
something?
a
Let's have
fucking
a party,
barbecue, dude.
Then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, you don't know if he's unhoused or he just had too much Molly.
Yeah,
there
if
you go.
yeah,
Boom.
if you
Everything's
want
good.
if you want to get rid of anybody, play Steve Aoki
Yeah, there you
or
go.
Tiesto. People run.
So here's from the article. LA Metro's
Dubstep.
goal with the music and lights is to reduce crime and drive away unhoused people. But the use of music is decisive, with online commentators calling it inhumane torture tactic. Critics also argue it does nothing to address the root cause problem plaguing the station. But here's also something else in the article, which was, by the way, in paragraph 40 of it. Right. In an email to the Times, the the agency that basically runs the subway says to restore safety at the transit station and as a means to support an atmosphere appropriate for spending short periods of time for transit customers who wait an average of 5 to 10 minutes for the next train to arrive, the Transit Authority says the strategy has resulted in improvement in public safety, citing a 75% reduction in calls to emergency services and over a 50% reduction in vandalism and graffiti and cleanup and nearly 20% drop in crime. So,
is that true? That's fucking wild.
So here's my thing with this. Okay, if it is true, and we have to take their word for it.
We can take
their word for it. But okay,
I want to take their word for it.
Here's my problem. First off, this article says LA blasting classical music to drive unhoused people from subway station. It's louder than officials claim. Why isn't the article LA blasting classical music to drive unhoused people away from station cuts crime by a 5th in 3 months?
Yeah.
Right.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it says basically, and then says, online commentators have said that it's a torture tactic.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cause the root cause of unhoused people. The Transit Authority of the City of Los Angeles has a job to do. It's to run the transit of the City of Los Angeles.
And have you ridden the transit system?
But that's the problem.
Rough, man.
Holy fucking God,
but that's
dude.
the problem.
I take this. I still even, I still take the train every once in a while because I live in Koreatown. I'll take it downtown if I need to.
Yeah,
just for a quick trip or something like that. I don't care. It's like 4 blocks away. It's a good walk, dude. You get on the fucking thing. It smells like urine. There's fucking people doing heroin.
Dude, everything's stained.
So everything's
It's
stained.
fucked,
They're
dude.
fucking doing meth all over the fucking place.
But
It's
that's the problem when the Transit Authority found a way to maybe help. Okay? And again, they're not helping necessarily unhoused people. I get it.
No,
they're not dealing with the root cause, but that's not their job. Their job as the Transit Authority of the City of Los Angeles is to make sure that the billions spent on these trains is used by the population. And right now, no one wants to use it because, like you said, it smells like piss. It's not safe. There's shit everywhere. There's people doing drugs on it. And maybe playing some Beethoven might help.
Right.
But you've got online commentators saying,
who've never taken the train.
Who've never taken the train, who probably don't even live here.
Who clearly haven't had to take that fucking train, let me tell you.
Yeah, that's right.
But again,
Let me tell you.
this is where, again, Mike and Ron here to help. Yeah, I know that some of you are sitting there going, "Oh, these are just a bunch of just weenie woke liberals." Play some classical music if it means good, hard working people who are coming home from a long day can take efficient transit like it's designed to do it.
Right.
Especially considering it looks like it's working.
Right. And Mike and Ron here to help. Okay. Because you have so many transplants here from like Boston, Philly, New York, places with San Francisco, places with actual real transit systems.
Yeah.
Okay. People who would by nature take the transit system. If I could get on a subway and go from Koreatown to Travis's place, which is basically 20 blocks north from where I live. Okay. And if I could get on the tube and come pop out 2 blocks away, I would do it every day. Why wouldn't I? I'm saving gas. It's fucking goddamn $5 a gallon.
Parking here sucks balls.
Parking sucks balls. Why would I not? That's why I take the train downtown. If I need to go to to LA Live, to go to a movie or go to the Target that's right down there or something like that. Fuck, dude. This is a great day. Go take the train. Get on the train. Oh, that was a mistake. Because now I'm in in a homeless encampment.
Now I'm in a fight with a guy with a lizard on his shoulder.
And it's like, dude, I would love the guy with the lizard on the shoulder.
Happened to me.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
As
See that?
opposed to
So hold on. Travis was traumatized by a guy with a lizard. Is what happened.
Yeah, he had a
there.
bearded dragon on his shoulder, and he's like, "What up, fat fuck?" And I'm like, what's happening right now?" I was like, first off, you're 5 feet tall. I'm gonna beat your ass
To
and your
death.
lizard's ass.
Right, to death. To death.
But this is
Thank you, Travis, for sharing that.
Here's the
and
problem.
And by the way, quickly, Travis, I'm sorry about this. Travis,
problem.
I'm sorry that you have to deal with that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because black women who are big bone, they know in the black community that we love them sisters. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason why that in society, going back to what we were saying earlier in this podcast, just because you're a bigger person, bigger structure person, Mike Sasson's 6'3", okay, he's not going to have 6'4". He's not going to be a ballet dancer, okay? He's a
Clydesdale of a man.
Right, he's a Clydesdale of a man. Travis, you're
More
big,
merch for Sass.
Travis,
Poopy
same
head
thing with you.
Clydesdale
big
of a
guy,
man.
6 feet tall. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
a
you're a
thick
big
boy.
guy. You're a thick boy, man. Your genetics are of a big man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You could lose 100 pounds. You're not going to shrink the size of your rib cage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What the fuck?
The size of my head.
You know what I mean? So
And
just
this is what pisses me off most about that. And Travis, you can back me up on this.
Oh.
back him up, Travis.
When women get an opportunity,
Back that thing.
again, when they block society and say, okay, I'm gonna have a night, a session with a big man.
Yeah.
Big fans.
Right.
They become big fans. They're like,
Yeah,
why
every
was
time.
I going after this cut dude who there's no
That's why I got married.
Yeah.
Because they're gay. They need to be coming to my house. Let's
Leave
Yeah,
these skinny twinks out of this.
That's what the whole problem is. All those little sissy boys. I'm sorry about that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Honestly, yes. If you're a cut dude over the age of 30, enjoy Ron because you're gay. That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, if you're a male and you're
Yeah,
insured, if you're a male with a waistline of under 32, you are gay. So it's
Over a certain age. Like some people
no,
when
I'm
they're
just gonna say, I'm just gonna blanket.
Okay,
You know?
he's saying anyone's gay.
Don't limit.
All
limit.
things are gay. I love this.
Yeah, just
Perfect.
don't limit me.
But Travis, I mean, like again, when the ladies get an opportunity, they're like, "Yeah, this is fun.
Oh,
you
yeah,
feels
yeah.
great, everything like
Right.
that." But
I've changed the
society,
hearts and minds
yes,
of
we
many a woman.
change hearts and minds and pussies.
and I've changed the hearts and mind of many a man. So
Yes, a lot of hearts and minds. But going back to
And-
the
and buttocks.
but going absolutely going back to the homeless situation. This is the problem that I feel I have. Again, I have eternal compassion
Thank you.
for unhoused, homeless, whatever you want to call them,
Preach, Mike.
people
Preach, Mike.
in
Goddamn
Los
Mike.
Angeles.
Oh, Mike, you're fantastic.
Yeah.
But I also have an amazing amount of compassion for that working person, that single mom, that guy who came from a 12-hour shift on his feet, working hard.
Students are coming back to
students,
work.
students who are going to jobs.
Yeah.
Let's give them a train station that they feel safe at.
You know how
Let's give them a train that doesn't
Right.
smell like piss.
You know who I
Yeah.
have compassion for in that situation too, and I've seen it a million times. My God, the people who work for the metro. Can you imagine being
Oh,
a
being down
bus
there.
driver? Can you imagine having to patrol? If you're a cop officer, a cop, or one of these security people who have to patrol these every day. I mean, you're going into a cesspool. It's like, wow, you deserve more money, bro.
But the problem I have is, okay, it doesn't take care of the root cause of it. If I'm the head of the transit authority, I go back to that's not my job.
That it's
It's
like
not
I
my
feel
job
people
to
who
do
say-
that.
This is where you were talking about being the bridge earlier. This is what I wanted to bring up. Like,
Wow.
like
Look at these callbacks.
they say it's not addressing the root issue. It's like, yes, we should address the root issue, but right now,
Right.
what am I gonna fucking do?
Right.
What do you
What is the transit authority going to do?
And
what
Let
can I
them
do-
sleep on the train?
And what I'd like to ask
it's a problem right fucking now.
and I'll ask whoever wrote this article. Okay, so when do you expect the U.S. government or the Los Angeles County or whatever city, state, when do you expect them to finally address the root issue?
Yeah.
Everything we've talked about today is the root issue,
Yeah.
and we're still not addressing it.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, I mean,
the moment with gun violence, well, let's throw some people out of the house, or let's just ignore it. You know, at the state house, just ignore it, or just point to some bullshit amendment that was written back when the M16 wasn't even invented. Do you think Washington would have wanted the English to be fucking coming with an M16?
Oh no.
Yes. The fact is, I'm not saying yes to you. I'm saying yes, I agree with you. The problem, it comes, and that's one of the things that I really have a problem with, that how we deal with homeless in Los Angeles.
Right.
I believe that there are certain people that are so against the capitalist state that they are going to use the lives of these people as martyrs because they don't want to find them a place.
Right.
They want them as a constant reminder of the inequality of the city. So if you sit there and say, "Hey, maybe we put them in a shelter," maybe you're warehousing them. Well, why don't we put them in? No.
Warehousing.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
by the way, during the pandemic, okay, I'll never forget it. It was
Oh, yeah,
it was
I
day,
remember.
it was like day 2 of the pandemic, and I walked on to it was like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I walk into I was standing in the middle of Wilshire and Normandy, and there wasn't a soul on the streets.
Put them all in hotels.
But now we can't anymore. So in other words, we do actually have a solution for the homeless. We do actually have a solution.
I say we do a hostile takeover of anyone who runs an Airbnb because they're driving rent through the fucking roof in LA
That's a
anyway.
big problem.
And
yeah.
we take their Airbnbs by force and just put all the homeless people in there.
Well,
Bam,
the
done.
other problem that
Well, you know that hotel that's across from the Omni Hotel is they turned that into it's a homeless, it's an unhoused hotel now.
Good.
It's a really nice one. That
Sun
really nice.
fix-
Yeah.
well, I mean, the issue comes down to with if you want to say okay,
trying.
root cause, they're trying, but goes back to
Go Karen Bass.
again.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I mean if
She's trying, bro. She's
and this is no bullshit. If you drive again, we were here during the dark times of the pandemic.
yes,
Yeah,
sir.
fucker.
Compared to what the city looked like during the pandemic,
Right.
right now Los Angeles looks 1,000 times better.
I'm going to agree with you. I
And
agree
like
100%,
the
yeah.
homeless, like I remember driving through Hollywood and seeing some insanely large homeless encampments.
Right.
Oh, man. Yeah.
They're not there
No.
anymore.
And again, just the reason I mentioned that is I was downtown visiting a client and I was looking for parking up by the Omni Hotel, and I noticed that there were all these brothers and people hanging out front, and I saw cars pulling in and out, and so I said, oh, maybe I can get some parking there, and I pull in, and it was the entire hotel is a homeless shelter now.
Oh, wow.
And those types of hotels, they've been doing that all across the city. And that's, Karen Bass has been doing that. I'm not trying to be pro any politician right now, but just going back to what Mike is saying, that they are trying. And
Someone's doing fucking something.
they're doing something. I mean, and again, I think I don't know if I've mentioned this on this podcast before, but it was like before the pandemics, like we're talking 5-6 years ago now. I met this woman who worked for the state, and this was back when we passed. It was 2 years after we passed those $1 billion bond measures.
Yeah.
For the homeless. And I was like, yeah, what's the deal with that? Why are we still having this homeless problem? She says, well, she says it's complicated. There's the four major problems that she saw was one. It's a mental at its crux, at its core, is a mental health issue. And so you have people with mental health issues of all different stripes, and they end up being homeless, and then they start doing heavy drugs. So now it's a mentally health, it's somebody who's not mentally well, that's addicted to some of the hardest drugs, and the part two is you can live on the streets here and not die. Okay, it only gets but so hot, and only gets but so cold. And so then you can panhandle, or you can steal. You have urban gardens that apparently get raided. So you have mentally ill, drug addiction, the type of weather where it's where you can live, and on top of that, you have a lot of the red states. They pass anti-panhandling laws, and you have some red counties here in California that pass anti. They arrest them, they put them on a bus, they send them to Los Angeles, they send them to Long Beach. You know what I mean? So. So it's a very complicated thing. And I was talking about this the other day. Somebody's like, how do you get somebody who is addicted to drugs, to give up their drugs without forcing them?
So here is, I'm not trying to take your job, Mayor Bass, but I would say here was what Mayor Mike Sasson, I think the future of Los Angeles, like you mentioned downtown.
Yeah.
The root cause of a lot of what's happening in California is housing.
Right. Affordable housing.
Affordable housing. You need to build more housing.
And healthcare. Yeah.
Healthcare, housing. But
Yes.
let's deal with housing first.
Yes.
So housing, we need to build more. You got the NIMBY attitude, not in my backyard, to where it's difficult to
Yep,
build it.
That's
Which is
another thing.
ridiculous for a
That's
fucking
the
blue
fifth. That was the
state.
fourth. That was the fourth one she said, by the way.
Yeah.
Not
But
my backyard. Yep.
to me, the answer is downtown LA, downtown Long Beach, downtowns.
Okay.
Because it's easier, because when you come to Los Angeles, you see a very nice downtown from its aesthetics. It looks very beautiful.
Right.
But it doesn't look like the size of a Chicago or Philadelphia or obviously Manhattan. And you're like, wait, that's the second biggest, because it isn't. In terms of square size, downtown LA is actually the same size as Chicago, but it has about a third of the people that live in it.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So But everyone always goes, well, you can't build in California because everyone wants a lawn. Everyone wants to see the mountains. Everyone wants to be near the beach, all this kind of stuff. So that's why I say places like downtown Los Angeles, within the next 10 to 15 years needs to start looking like Chicago or Midtown Manhattan.
I agree with you 100%.
It needs to go up because then if you start building housing there, first and foremost, that's where Union Station is. Yeah. And so you have now the trains to where people can, if you have affordable housing there, then all of a sudden they can get on the train, they can get to Pasadena, they can get to Santa Monica, they can get to Beverly Hills, they can get to all these places. So now all of a sudden that becomes an enclave. Also, as a side event, now downtown LA becomes incredibly diverse and interesting with restaurants and music and all this kind of stuff. And so then that alleviates where now you have this people going, okay, now I can afford this housing. Housing costs go down in other places. Now all of a sudden you're getting, more people in here. Then you deal with the mental health. Then you deal with there. But if we're dealing with housing, I would say the first step is downtown LA, downtown San Diego, downtown. We need to go up. That's why downtowns exist.
Now, I do want to point out, and since we are here to help and we do like to present facts as they are, I do know, having with the current job that I have, I'm working with a lot of property developers and such like that. Building skyscrapers here in Los Angeles is very expensive.
Of course,
because of earthquakes, and so
we would have to obviously tax abatements. We'd have to make it to where,
or just make bigger complexes of homes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying, and just expand where you have, because you have major parts of Los Angeles that are just underdeveloped and slummy and dirty, and you can those are perfect areas to be able to do that. And you can go I think like 10 stories or 15 stories without where it's not too unreasonable, but whatever that is.
Right now, it's like I view it as basically the pressure is so much. You just need to alleviate that pressure with putting more units into the system.
Right.
And then ultimately that could take care of that. Now, this is also one of the things where we talk about the truth that progressives sometimes don't like to hear.
Right.
Which is now the asshole needs to show up. It's like we talked last week about San Francisco. The problem that San Francisco is having right now is now they're asking for the feds to come in because they're realizing, hey, we need some assholes to show up here.
Right.
Because
same thing in Portland.
Yeah, same thing in Portland. They're saying, hey, it's like you say, how do we make somebody that doesn't want to get help get help? Oh, guess what? That's littering. Oh, guess what? That's breach of peace. Oh, guess what? You're blocking the sidewalk that's against the Americans with Disability Act.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you're getting to a point to where you're making it a little bit less comfortable to where you're like, hey, would you like to come into this building to where you can maybe get help?
And to be clear, folks, I do not think that Mike, and you can verify this, is saying that you have police arresting everybody and throwing them in a prison.
No, it's not about prison. It's about
stop and frisk.
It's about helping.
It's about nudging.
Right.
It's about nudging.
But it's like giving them access to the resources that they need. When they need them, as they need them, meeting these people where they're at, helping them in a way for them to be able to start making better decisions for themselves.
Also, taxpayers pay for prisons. If you're going to just beat up and arrest people, that seems to me like a house.
I came up with an idea on stage.
Put them in a place.
I came up with an idea one time on stage, and I'm going to, if anybody takes this, we're copyright. Me, Mike, and Travis, we're going to copyright this right now. I think we should have like a web page and a calendar called Homeless to Hot. You know what I'm saying?
That would be a good reality TV show.
Because, a reality TV show. Because there's some of these homeless people are fucking hot. You know what I mean? So you have the picture of them when they were like,
tans.
They're just beautiful people. You're just like, I would totally do that, motherfucker. Or that chick is fucking breathtakingly hot. Clean them, take a picture of them while they're homeless, take a picture of them, be like, okay. And then you clean them up. You know what I'm saying? And then you have the poster of them, the before and the after. And, maybe get them into a little modeling and stuff like that. And there's enough people that are...
It's like bar rescue, only with people?
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's like bar rescue the people. And, get them a little modeling. And you have enough people out there that it's, maybe get them into legal prostitution.
So at least we leave it to where there's only ugly homeless.
Right.
Yeah. All the beautiful homeless.
Get it.
Yeah. So
right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly
we leave it just with ugly homeless people. The beautiful, we can get you housing jobs.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Cry.
But when you're selling these products, the hot tone, there's like the Homeboy. It's like Homeboy Bakery. You know what I mean? It's like the people that are out of prison, they go to Homeboy and they can't get jobs. They go to Homeboy Bakery. and they're making cakes and pies, and there's a very thriving business downtown, and it's very successful. And you can do something like that for the unhoused. Give them things to do. Clean. Tell the unhoused people, listen. You can get a daily wage if you go and you clean up shit. If you're picking up cigarette butts and cans and plastic and trash off the street and you bring it to the certain recycling center, we're going to give you a certain amount of money. If you go to this farm and you this inner city farm and you help till the soil and build the food, give them something to do so they can get their drugs.
Well, I would sit there and say, I agree with you on this one. Whereas if you live in that park, clean it up.
And
we'll give you $50.
Yeah.
man,
At
keep
least
this park
clean up the
looking
park
great.
you live in.
Why you have sanitation workers going there? Pay these motherfuckers. They're there anyway.
Yeah. My idea, and I think
No,
I said
who
it,
cleans better than somebody on meth?
yes, they won't stop.
True. The polish.
Yeah,
My God.
Our playground equipment will be gleaming.
And
And
real
a
quick-
motherfucker out there with scissors cutting the grass.
And can I tell you something? Can I tell you something to all my brothers and sisters, to all my homies back in Atlanta who are listening to this? They all know this. So back when I was in Atlanta, I had a beautiful loft downtown by the Georgia Dome on Walker Street. And there was this unhoused gentleman who would come to my door all the time, and because I had the way that my garage was, the leaves would blow in, and he would come up, hey man, you want my sweet, and he kept asking. Then it got to the point where I'll give you $10, $5 or $10 a week to sweep. He'd be in that motherfucker anytime he need money, and he'd be sweeping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it became a deal. And I fed him. I brought him in sometime. I'd feed him. You know what I'm saying? After we had our late night rave parties and things like that, he'd come get all the plastic to go take it to recycling and everything like that. One time, and I'm going to just say one time we ended up, not one time, but a few times we'd end up just partying with him because he knew where all the good drugs were if we didn't know where to get them. He always did. But the funny thing about it is once you got to know him, his parent, because he was mentally ill, and because his parents they didn't want to deal with it, they threw him out in the street, and he didn't want to go to church every day. He didn't want to go to church and preach God every time, so they didn't want to talk to him anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so he was. That's why he was homeless. And by me giving him money and things like that, he was able to take care of himself, do little things when he wanted to. And you know what, man? These are the people you're dealing with. There's a life and there's a story behind each one of these people that we're seeing.
Okay, you
there.
just connected two of my ideas.
Wow.
Okay, this is why. Again, we're here to help each other as well.
Yes.
So,
Mike and Ronnie
like,
are
I think I've talked about on this that my idea for Hollywood is out by like the Al Capitan Theater outside of like Einstein. Close it off to traffic. Open the bars until like 4 in the morning, like they do in New York.
right.
And turn that into a
party
West
zone.
Coast Bourbon Street.
Right.
And let's have fun
great.
there. That'd be awesome.
I agree.
Okay. Now, the homeless people in the area, you want to talk about someone who knows where the good drugs are, where the good parties are, is a guy who lives on that street. Now, all of a sudden, that guy has a job. It's like, hey, $10, I'll tell you where the party is.
Yeah. And by the
They're
way,
party ambassadors for LA.
And by the way, when my homegirl, one of my homegirls' cars got broken into at one of our after parties in Atlanta, who knew who broke into it?
Of course.
Who got her shit back?
He's like a Huggy Bear.
He knows, got her shit back. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
okay. You just inspired me. A network of spies. All right. Now they're all government employees.
Right.
They all got money. They're
And they got benefits.
They're earning
Yeah.
their exactly.
Yeah.
They're earning their
Yeah.
government housing.
Yeah.
They're just a
Homeless pe-
network.
the
A
unhoused-
network of narcs, if you will, cleaning
unhoused-
up these
yeah.
streets.
The unhoused people in this city know everything about the city that you do
Oh,
not.
man.
I promise you.
You want to know where the parties actually are. You want to know where no one sleeps. You want to know where
Yeah.
everything is happening.
Yeah.
That's why if
They
you
know
want to
you're-
talk about Bourbon Street would be done. It'd be done as an
yeah.
entity if Los Angeles could get that together, and then the unhoused people, they live right there.
Yeah.
They're
The unhoused people, they know your work schedule. If they're in your neighborhood, they know your work schedule. They know when you leave. They know when you come back. They know what you do on the weekends. They know because they see you. They're there.
Yes, and they
Trust me.
and not
they're-
much to do.
And not much to do besides. Yeah, trust me. I promise you. I don't want to freak you out, ladies and gentlemen, but I promise you. If you ever have an opportunity to actually talk to one of these people and get to know them, it's a heartbreaking thing because once you actually hear their story, how they got there. In the last podcast that I had, and I've talked this before, which that last podcast was great, but this is the best podcast you ever want to hear. Mike and Ron here to help.
Here to help.
But me and brother Stephen Gibbler, we interviewed this person named I Am Faith, who's an unhoused trans vet who is trying to raise money for other unhoused trans vets, and get the medical care. And all of these people fought in Iraq and Afghanistan.
That's fucking
Okay, so we're not talking like there's no Vietnam anymore. They're all dead. Okay, we're talking unhoused Iraq and Afghanistan vets that can't get their health care, can't even get housing. And
war didn't end for these guys.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. War didn't end for these guys.
No, it didn't end for them. As a matter of fact, for a lot of them, it put them there. Because they're
There's a lot of people in Ohio had that fucking problem, man.
Yeah, PTSD, turns to drug addiction.
Want to know why in Pennsylvania and Ohio we've got a fentanyl problem and all that kind of stuff? Because those guys came back fucked up and they're
and they keep coming back every year.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not like that war was like a while ago. It happened for 20 fucking years. Every year you get a new batch of young people getting fucked up.
That war went on for 20 years. It just ended, and these guys are. I mean, especially the ones that were in the heart of the war, like the beginning of it. I mean, you talk to Jeff Karasalis.
Iraqi freedom people,
oh my God, the shit that these guys you were asking these gentlemen to do is
That's
just
all Gen X too. That's fucked, man.
Yeah, man. So it's like just have compassion. I get it's real easy. I get as frustrated as you do, as everybody does. I think it's a natural human emotion. Be like, what the fuck. You know what I mean? It's because it is tragic and it's fucked up and it's all those things, but ultimately they're humans, and Mike and Ron are just here to help, and we got Travis here too.
One more story, and we have to talk about it.
Okay.
And we're closing.
We're closing out.
We're closing in on 2 hours.
So yeah.
All right.
Perfect. We got it. Yeah.
Okay, this is the last one.
Yes.
Because we need to help definitely on this.
Yes, and I have to go to the bathroom.
Bud Light.
Oh
yeah.
Yes. Preach.
So apparently a person who is transitioning for their year anniversary.
Who has transitioned
transitioned for a year.
Is it on
has
here?
to say, well, just it's not here, but the picture of Kid Rock is. So if you want to find the actual the person's name,
This disgusting human being.
the reason why I put up Kid Rock.
Someone who hasn't had his ass beaten long enough a time where he doesn't understand. But go ahead.
Yeah.
So
Bird is a
essentially, Bud Light has a marketing department. They gave this woman, as a celebration of her year of transition,
Right.
a Bud Light can with her picture on it as a celebration, because that's what marketing departments do.
Right.
They got a bunch of kids who watch TikToks and watch, Google, all the kind of stuff,
Yep.
and sit there and say, hey, this is an idea, could get our name out there, blah, blah, blah. They send them the can.
Right. And she has like billions and billions of followers.
Dylan,
whatever that is.
Dylan Mulvaney.
Mulvaney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that a comedian? Did he go trans?
Maybe.
No, I don't.
I was just kidding.
It's just a
Both
YouTube personality.
Both of you had to. I knew that was.
See, it says, cheers to 365 days.
Of
Drink. Yeah. Cheers to 365 days. Bud Light sent it to him. Now, all of the red meat eating Kid Rock fans.
Right.
Kid Rock did a video where he shot up
Yeah.
a case of Bud Lights.
So violent, dude. My God, dude.
But okay, and this goes back to my attitude towards religion is the same attitude towards
It's a cult.
why
Zealotry.
do you care?
You're not religious. Stop
Yeah,
using.
Why do you care what
religion.
a major corporation does
Yeah.
to market its beer?
Right.
Okay, it's a beer. It's a company that right now isn't even like people go Anheuser-Busch. It's owned by a company called Interbev, which is
Right.
out of Belgium.
Right. And how many beers does Interbev own? So okay, you're not going to drink Bud Light. So you want to switch over to the other brand that they own?
Yeah.
So fuck you idiot.
But this is again, and this is what I have to ask everyone who is freaking out over this. Why do you care? And I have a theory of why you care. Because because I've heard so many people and read so many tweets going, doesn't Bud Light understand what this is going to do with their brand? Yes, they do.
Yeah, that's why they did it.
That's why they did it.
Yeah, because your demographic is shrinking. The ignorant hatred demographic is shrinking, and the demographic that's growing. Okay.
Yeah, so you see InBev right there, which, by the way, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, all of these have supported LGBT people.
Of course.
Right.
This is every beer.
So this is, okay, so if you don't want to drink any more Interbev, no more Modelo.
Yep.
No more Corona.
Right.
No more Beck's. No more Blue Point. I don't even know what that is. None of the Bud Lights. None of the Budweisers. None of those. None of those things. Oh, and by the way, yeah, PepsiCo and Coca-Cola have also supported all of these things. So basically, you can't drink any of those beers because a marketing person sent a woman a can of beer.
Right. And you know what? And you know what?
It's crazy.
Right. And
Which you could probably get made at like a local like tourist. I bet you at Disneyland you could get like a can of
Also, how is her like being happy and them getting beer affecting them in any way, shape, or form?
Let's do the callback. The callback from the again. If you have to hate somebody else to feel good about yourself, who are you? You don't know who Dylan is. You've never met her. You'll never meet her. Okay? You may never ever meet a trans person. So what does it matter to you?
Yeah.
You know, and if you do, will you know? You have no fucking idea.
Yeah, and what are you gonna do? Hit him with a hammer?
Yeah,
What's your fucking problem?
You know,
Like,
and by the way, you notice we're all calling her because that's what she is.
Yeah.
that's what she wants to
You know
be.
why? Because we're not assholes.
Because I don't give a
Exactly.
Because
Yeah,
listen,
who cares?
if Travis wanted me to call him Big Booty Master, it's Big Booty Master it is. I don't care. What do you want to be
I'm gonna
called,
leave out the
man?
master
Come
part
on.
for obvious reasons.
You know,
Yes.
right. It just, if somebody identifies as something, it's none of your business.
Because you know, and you just said it, Interbev has larger marketing money and reach and demographic research than you could possibly fathom.
Right.
And
And
they'll get
okay.
a lot of free ads.
and what they've done is they've decided that you are less valuable than the increasing demographic of people that don't hate like you do.
It's the same reason why every year the NFL has an inclusive, month and,
Right.
and has pink and tells everybody that
Same thing with Disney. Right.
Disney. It was so funny. I'm driving through North Hollywood, not even Hollywood. Driving through North Hollywood, and I see a sign like for a concert at the Disney Concert Hall in downtown LA.
Right.
And as Mickey Mouse leading it, he goes, for Pride, leading the West Hollywood Gay Orchestra for Disney's Pride Week. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, would Ron DeSantis have a fucking aneurysm if he
Right.
saw that fucking
Absolutely.
thing?
Absolutely.
Because Disney knows that they are in the idea business, they're in the entertainment
Right.
business, and they know that money-wise, it makes sense to be on the side
Right.
of progress, not on the side of regression.
Absolutely.
Regression.
Because what racist DeSantis, who will never be president, doesn't
Oh, he's
realize.
also doing terribly because he's an idiot.
Yeah, well, because he's an idiot. I mean,
He's
again,
not
yeah,
right,
but
dude.
racist,
Yeah.
but racist
He is a meathead.
Right, he's a complete meathead. But what racist DeSantis doesn't realize, is that these companies, they are much smarter than he is. They have the demographic, they have the social. They pay as much money a year to be able to make sure they're making the right decisions. Okay.
Just like Disney's lawyers completely did an end around on him.
Dude, they had
yeah.
royal laws to
Yeah.
get around them.
It's just,
It's like, your Florida douchebag lawyers didn't match up to the Fortune 100 Disney lawyers.
you know what, and
to make you look like a fucking idiot.
And what I'll say to Ron DeSantis and to
Kid
all
Rock.
these, and to Kid Rock, and to the governor of Texas, whatever his name is,
Abbott.
Abbott. Do me a favor. Why don't you guys not gerrymander your districts?
Abbott.
Okay. Why don't you not gerrymander your districts so you can remain in power? Okay, and then talk about then talk that dumb shit. Why don't you empower black and brown people to actually vote and see if you're still in power?
Also, the thing
With
that
those
kills me
policies.
is
No,
there's
because
a
they
lot-
know that wouldn't happen. It's like, why would I create a situation that wouldn't keep me in this job even though I'm a
Right.
complete moron?
Exactly.
Also, dude, there's so many black and brown people that are very religious and conservative in their own way.
yeah, absolutely.
And if the conservatives could rule, if they just weren't so fucking racist.
You're 100% right. I tell
crazy.
I tell people that I consider to be racist all the time, but they don't know it. I'll call them subconscious racist. The black and brown communities are very religious, and if you weren't creating policies that were directly hurting us, you would have an extraordinary amount of people that would be voting for you.
I would
so
say
many.
the average, especially as a comedian, if you walk into a black room, that is 99% of the time, that is a conservative room.
It's a conservative room.
It's
And
a
it's a
religious
religious
room
room
for
It's
sure.
guaranteed. That's why they don't book me in
Yeah,
those
dude,
meetings.
any
Being
jokes I have
dead
about
ass
like
true.
Religious stuff never works in a black room because
No, they don't want to hear that shit. They don't want.
A
Bro,
Latino room, same thing.
Especially
Same
Latino.
thing. Same thing. Jesus Cristo, Jesus Cristo, bro. Let me tell you something, man. You got to the Tyler Perry type rooms. What's the older Latino comedian? Been around forever, mustache. Yeah, Marty. Those Lopez crowds. They don't want to hear that shit.
No.
The fluffy, the fluffy crowds. They don't want to hear that shit.
No.
Not at all. No, and there's nothing against it. I get it. I mean, it's just cultural. It is what it is. But a room of black people don't want to hear you tell your opinion about Jesus. And by the way, brothers and sisters, listen to me. If your slave master wasn't a Christian, you wouldn't be a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that you believe is not of your people and your culture.
Same with Mexico.
It's not of your people.
Catholicism
and
down
your
in Mexico
culture.
was forced on them by
but
tiny group of white people, Spaniards. It blows my
Technically,
mind.
Catholicism was pushed upon.
Everyone.
It's Roman
everyone by the Romans?
by the
Yeah.
Romans.
Yeah,
it was pushed on by everybody.
It's called the
I know.
Crusades. It's called the Crusades.
Yeah, people give British people a lot of shit because of how much colonialism they did, but like Britannians were all fucking pagan. They all had multiple gods, and that was all taken by the Romans.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
I mean, they call it the Roman Catholic Church for a reason.
Yeah. Hinduism is older than Buddhism. Buddhism and both are older than Christianity. Let's go back to where it came from, folks. Just go back to where it came from. You don't need to. It's once you start digging into it, it's like, oh, gotcha. All this was just made up. They just actually took bits and pieces from this and bits and pieces of that, glued it together, and they made a Bible. And all of a sudden, now you believe in it. So just throwing that out there, here to help. Don't care what you believe in. Don't care what you believe in. Like Mike
I think you're coming to my side of it, which is I don't care what you believe.
Yeah,
I'm going to form my own church.
Yeah, absolutely.
The church, if I don't give a fuck what you do.
I go to the Church of Sasson.
Yeah, you just walk in and there's football and pizza and be like, hey, whatever you believe. Great.
Yeah.
Steelers are playing the Bengals. It's fourth quarter. Let's get after this.
I just want to mention that I'm a little uncomfortable with this because now we have another white man trying to get us to praise him. And so, as much as I love Mike, we are not going to have a
I'm
church
not the
of
God
Sasson.
of the church. I'm more of the L. Rod Hubbard of the church.
Thank you.
I'm the guy who wrote the book,
Hilarious.
and now a bunch of celebrities are gonna freaking worship it.
God damn you.
Years later, just be like, "Hey, is that the Church of Sasson?" Yeah, it's just the Buffalo Wild Wings.
It's literally a Buffalo Wild Wing.
It's a Buffalo Wild Wings with hot chicks
And a better menu.
And a better menu. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
And you walk in and be like, "Hello, welcome to Mike Sasson's church.
Right.
What do you care? No one cares.
No,
Guess
just
what?
that.
The playoffs are on.
Yeah. We don't care about your opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Whatever
All
it
right.
is, keep it to yourself. We do care about what do you want as an appetizer. That's
All
what
right.
you want.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're closing in on 2 hours. And
I always worry we're ever going to have enough to talk about.
we never will. Yeah.
I don't think we got to like 10 of your pictures. You said,
Yeah, Mike, when I chose you as a podcast, when I asked you to be my podcast partner, I knew we would always have something to talk about.
But that is the fear whenever I walk into this room is I always be like, man, I hope we have enough subjects.
Oh my goodness, I don't even know if that's possible. I'm wondering if I went to the bathroom soon enough because we're going to be here for a while. That's what I'm walking for.
We could break this into like 4 podcasts.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
Part
absolutely.
1, part 2. It's the new Roots. It just goes over a week.
Yeah. Our first podcast for like around an hour and 10 minutes. Our shortest one was 44 minutes. Now we're just like fucking popping over 130, 140 every time. So just strap in, folks. When you come here from Mike, Ron, and Travis, we're fucking bringing it to you.
So if you have a commute,
right?
We are your commuting partner.
Absolutely.
We are, if you've got to go take a long car trip, put us on. We are with you on that car trip. I want you to be drinking Bud Light the whole way.
Yes, me.
I want
Mike,
you to be blasting music, not Kid Rock.
Me, Mike, Travis, and Travis's big black feline pussy.
Oh yeah.
It tasted good.
Oof. That's, All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Mike and Ron. We've been here to help.
Here to help.
Please check out our other podcasts. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe and follow us. If you are on Instagram, it's at Ron Bush Official, and then we have Mr. Sasson. What is it, Mike Sasson?
Yeah, just Mike Sasson, MikeSasson.
There you go. And Travis, what is your
Clyburn Comedy?
Clyburn Comedy. And listen, we are friends. We've messaged each other millions of times. We just don't know what each other's social media handles are.
Mine's real complex.
Right. Yeah, it is.
It's hard to memorize.
And mine is Ron Bush Official, as if anyone else would want to pretend to be me.
Hey, get it while it's good. You know what I mean? Get it until someone takes it.
Somebody's exactly. So that's what happened. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day.
Mike and Ron. Here to help.